Good morning. Samantha Dragonetti, links in the description. Please check out her music, very talented artist. Big topic for today. We're going to love doing this together. We're going to love it, girls. It's going to be good. I'm going to guide us through it, okay? So, as we jump into today's topic, which I think you're going to love, I need you to be able to understand what we're doing here. Let me pull up some of my techie stuff. Hold on here, girls. Let me organize my, okay. So, oh wait, where'd you go? Hello, where's my community tab? There it is. Okay, I can see your chat now. So, first and foremost, we do philosophy through pop culture. My name is Brittany Simon. I'm 36 years old, and I have been a person who was miserable, suicidal, looking for community, unsure of the community I had, a person who went from hating her life every day to loving her life every day. I am not a coach. I am not selling you a course. I am simply a girly who has figured out something that works for her life, and I want to convey that to you. I want to give you those tools. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. But just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work for somebody, okay? So ask your questions, explore topics with me, and understand that being a human being is hard. And once you radically accept that, it will become easy. And I need you to understand that's how life works. When you accept life for what it is, it becomes easier. Okay? That's what I want you to focus on. So I have 4 videos I want to show you. Then I have a comment I got on my video that I want to go over. I have blocked out the person's name, but 10 people upvoted it, which tells me the community is struggling. So let me talk to the community. We also had an incident occur on the Discord today, which if this person is watching, you should stop watching my content and heal. Because what I've noticed as a person who's been running a community effort for most of her life, I've tried to form communities my whole life, is there's always a person on occasion who, well, they're having a moment. And regardless of the moment, they can't come back to the community. So I like to imagine my communities that I run like coffee shops. And if you come into the coffee shop / bookstore / discussion philosophy, hangout, and you are causing everyone to feel unsafe, you can't come back. Not because you're a bad person, but because you didn't have the ability to show up to a public space and make the community feel safe to such an extent in which multiple people were worried and concerned. And then after you were blocked, you continue to harass people, right? And I don't think people who are going through mental health struggles, who are triggered, are necessarily, would make those decisions when they're not triggered. But we all need to get to the point that, girls, even if we're triggered, we can't be doing these things. Okay, so what happened is, not with just this incident, but what happens normally is, because this community is so inviting and so welcoming as it should be, because this community isn't going to judge you for getting triggered, because this community isn't going to judge you for struggling, this community also invites people into it who don't have good boundaries. And when they don't have good boundaries, they don't understand why you put down one. So I've had people over the years, okay? And again, this isn't because these are evil people. It's because these people are engaging with a lack of boundaries, a lack of mental health, okay? So I have to block them for the safety of the community. And this community, even though it's not good for them, doesn't mean it's not good for, they don't have another community that could be good for them. But what happens is the person will come in, the person will be having a bad time, the person will rant and rave and take over the space. Okay, so imagine I'm running a bookstore and a person comes into the bookstore and just starts ranting at everybody in the bookstore. And everyone in the bookstore is trying to be like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. Like, thank you for sharing. Are you okay? Do you need some time? Do you need to take a step? They're like, oh, I understand. And then they're ranting and raving. And it's like, okay, so now all of us are on edge. And I go to that person and I say, hey, I think you might be triggered or you might need to take a step away. And they go, yeah, I am triggered. This is how I feel. And they start ranting louder and louder. They start, it becomes like wait a second. What's happening, girl? Okay, what's happening? And then I say, you need to leave and you can't come back. And then they leave and then they start finding new ways to harass the community, sliding into DMs, messaging people, trying to get people to say, let Brittany unblock me. You guys can't come back because you weren't healthy enough or safe enough to even engage in the first place to know not to do that. Okay? You cannot do that. You have to go to therapy, or you have to do your internal work, and then you have to find a different community that doesn't have that memory of you to form a better self. Because it's like the man's loneliness epidemic. You can't feel entitled to women's bodies and women's spaces and then be like, I can't believe you're not going to date me. I can't believe you're not going to be with me. Okay, you're not stuck there, but you need to go to therapy and figure it out, and then join another community that doesn't know you that way, because we only know you that way and we can't get over it. It's too late. Okay, I've had people that I have banned who 8 months later, a year later, Brittany, please, I learned my lesson. Can I come back? Well, obviously you didn't learn your lesson. Why are you asking to come back? This space is my workspace. My Patreon is my workspace. You can't come back. You already violated too far. Even if you didn't mean to, even if you're not a bad person, you cannot come back. Because if you learned the lesson, you wouldn't want to come back to the community. If you're a man who's harassed somebody in the community and you learned your lesson, why would you try to come back to the same community you harassed? So it doesn't matter if you're a girly, a gay, an autistic, a disabled, a BPD who hasn't technically harassed anybody in a sexual way. You harass them with their mental health. You harass them by berating them in the DMs. You can't come back. Okay? So when we have the conversation today about why having community is so hard, it's because in order to form healthy community, you must participate in healthy behavior. And when you are unhealthy to the extent of causing fear in others, you must understand that you are the problem and you must reform and find a community in which you can grow with. But you can't grow in the community you hurt often. Sometimes, if you're lucky, often you can, especially in a stranger community, like a coffee shop or a Discord or a D&D group. Yet we're not the space to heal from. But other spaces, family, friends, close relationships, that might be an opportunity for you. So you need to know the difference. So that's what we're going to talk about today, girls. What is the difference between family community, work community, hobby community, romantic community? Okay? And why does it work out this way? Listen to me when I say I already run an 18+ Discord for this reason. And I was really lax in the beginning of the Discord when I first started it years ago, allowing people to kind of trauma dump and stuff. And then I realized you can't do that. You can't come to my coffee shop and trauma dump. You can't come to the coffee shop and rant and make people feel uncomfortable. If you're having a bad day, you need to go home and come back when you're having a better day. You can't have your bad day in the Discord. Okay? You can't have your bad day at the coffee shop. You can't. Okay? If you feel like you want to rant, take it out on your journal. Do not take it out on my Discord. Do not take it out on me. And what's sad is like so many people, most of the people that I've had to ban over the years seem to have a specific thing in common. And it sucks because it adds to the stigma of disability, but they do tend to be autistic. And as an autistic person myself, I am telling you right now, your autism doesn't allow you to misread the social situation so much that you make people feel uncomfortable. So if you are listening to me and you already feel attacked, I'm not attacking you. I am pointing out why you can't come back. And a lot of these people say you're being ableist. Oh my God, Brittany, you're being so ableist, not letting me in the community. It's guys, with peace and love, Habibis, please. You are making people feel unsafe. You are making people feel unsafe. You are making me feel unsafe. How can I let you back into my community when people are like, hey, I'm really worried? Please, it's not your autism. Plenty of people are autistic and disabled and all the things, and they're perfectly decent people. So please stop accusing me of ableism and realize like you make people unsafe, and ask yourself, why am I making people feel unsafe? You understand it when I talk about men, don't you? Men making women feel unsafe. You are that man making us feel unsafe. You just don't want to see yourself that way. So please take a deep breath and realize I am not trying to come for you. Okay? But you got to stop DMing me. You got to stop sliding into my DMs. You got to stop begging me to let you back in. You can't come back. I am at work. I am at work. You're coming into my place of business that I have worked so hard to create. And you were saying, let me into your coffee shop. I can't. You can't come back. For the safety of my community, you can't come back. You got to find another community that works for you. Okay? Super chat, Shadow B, thank you so much. Says, get some more dried flowers. Oh, thank you so much. I will. I'm going to take that $5 super chat and get me another bouquet. Thank you so much. I love me some dried flowers. Okay, so, just a PSA to my community. I am invested in maintaining. I've always dreamed of having a little coffee shop of my own where people can come and have philosophical discussion. but I can't allow you back at the coffee shop if you're making people feel unsafe. Okay? And we are so welcoming as a community. We are so obviously able to tell the difference between you're having a bad day and you're taking your bad day out on us. You're allowed to have a bad day. You just can't take it out on the community. Okay? And if you do that, I gotta ban you. In the past, I've been much more lax and given people too many chances to recover, and they almost never make amends. If I give you like a 3-point, like I've given you 3 warnings in a row, like, girl, I gotta ban you. I'm so sorry. And it hurts me, bro. I don't want to ban you, but you're not ready. You're not ready for community at this point. So, okay, is everybody good? Does anybody have any questions? I love this community, and thank you to the community members who, as a collective, we are making an effort to make a safe space, because that's what happens is the community comes together and we watch out for each other and we say, hey, we're not so sure about this person. Something seems up. And we say, damn, okay, I got to look into this. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who continues to make this safe, this space a really safe space. We work really hard together to do it. And I just want to thank everybody for helping me, because we don't build community alone. I might be the host of it and I might be the most person with the most responsibility, but we do not build healthy communities alone. And I just want to give credit to my community because they do help make this community a good place. I cannot build community alone. Okay. Let's see. Chat says, I always wondered about this. When people say they're triggered or you're triggering them, whose responsibility in that? It depends on the trigger. I do not mind people being triggered. I totally get it. It happens. It's not a big deal as long as you don't lash out at people. So if you're triggered and you take it insular, you take it inside of yourself. You say, oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm really triggered and I feel really bad about myself. I'm going to take some time off. I'll come back in a bit. Hey, fire. Thank you for communicating. Thank you for letting us know. We love you. We're compassionate. We see you. We'll see you in a few weeks. We'll see you in a few days. But if you are triggered and you post, and they did, rants on my Discord, if you post rants in the DMs, if you are ranting, talking about how you've been abused, talking about how we're gaslighting you, talking about how you don't see how, if you're ranting at us and attacking us, and belittling and insulting because we've said, hey, we're kind of concerned. And you're like, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah. No. We're not responsible for that. You have to do something about that. And I have to ban you. Okay? So I don't, it's not a big deal that somebody is triggered. It's a matter of what you do when you're triggered. And that's what DBT, that's what therapy is supposed to teach you. How to, when you are triggered, not hurt other people. Not take it outward, not to make other people, because if you're triggered, that means you're activated. So you need to ground yourself so you can communicate clearly. Okay. It's the same thing with Kanye or anybody else. Like, I know you think what you're saying is making a lot of sense, but you're not making any sense. I know you think when you're manic or when you're triggered, you feel like you're making really sound sense. Come back and come to us when you're a little more grounded and make your point, or understand your band. I can't have a Kanye in the community. I can't have a Kanye in the community, even though Kanye is suffering, even though you can't be Kanye West and be in my community. I'm sorry. And that's like the dilemma, is like people really want to be able to like be the main character in a way that makes everybody else walk on eggshells. You can't do that. Even though I think it's mental health. Do you understand the boundaries? I understand it's mental health. I'm not punishing you for being mentally ill. I'm just saying open with boundaries. Okay? Like, open with boundaries. And I know because I have somebody in my own family who's very yay coded, very yay coded. And trust me when I say this, like, we have very deep, very strong open with boundaries relationships with them. Okay? So let's talk about that, girls. Let's talk about the differences between the communities, and then we'll get into these TikToks because I think they kind of bring home a lot of the points we should be talking about. There's different kinds of communities, okay? There's your family community, okay? Family, that's inner circle, people who are, besties, people you look at as siblings. There's friends, people that aren't family, but they're homies, okay? Okay, wow, that's really bad. Let's write down homies. Homies. Okay. And then there's, work buddies. Okay. Forgot the complete R. Work buddies. There's hobby buddies. All these are different. Okay. There's hobbies. And then there's kind of like, I'm going to call them like strangers. But it's really just like, because you could, it's people who are in your everyday that you don't really socialize with, but you might see, maybe you see them at the cafe you go to, maybe you see them at the library you visit, maybe you see them at the church you go to, but you're not really close to them, but they're like strangers. Okay, well, maybe there's a mix. There's like a line right here between people you share a hobby with and people you see, and then like maybe there's like an overlap right here, right? Oh yeah, acquaintances. Okay, yeah. Let's do acquaintances. Good job, Discord. Acquaintances. I'm gonna write acquaint. Okay, so acquaintances and then strangers. So acquaintances are like people you see places, you know them, but you're not like friendly, like you're not close. But and maybe they're like adjacent to you. Like I used to go to the dungeon all the time, and there were people you knew at the dungeon. You said hi to them, but you didn't really like get closer or do much with them, and you didn't even like do the overlapping like hobbies with them, but they were there, right? So strangers are like people in your community. Maybe you see them in your apartment building, but you don't know them. Maybe you see them at the grocery store you shop at, but you don't know them. They're strangers to you, but they're somebody. Like they're a real person with real thoughts and feelings and struggles, and they're a human. I want you to humanize every single person you ever see or walk by. Okay? Those are strangers, but they're in your community. If you guys pay attention, do you guys pay attention to your community? Maybe I'm speaking from my own perspective, but I notice everyone. I notice if you go to the coffee shop next to me. I notice if I've seen your family before. I notice if you have a dog. Like I just notice everything. So like, okay, those are still strangers, but I notice them, which starts to build a familiar feeling, which starts to build somewhat of a local community feel. Like we have a local coffee shop, a local grocery store, and it tends to bring the same group of people to that area because it's like the closest into our neighborhood. Every neighborhood has like a grocery store. And in Croatia, we all certainly walk or take the bus. So a lot of us walk and take the bus to the same close kind of places. So I tend to see the same people, right? Okay. All of these communities are so unique, and yet they can have overlap. Okay. And what's difficult is there is struggle in every single one of these bubbles. Your family can have struggle. Your homies can have struggle. Your work can have tension. Your hobby friends can have problems. Drama can ensue with acquaintances. Strangers can cause problems. Strangers cause problems, let's say by getting drunk and smashing into your car. Acquaintances cause problems by having fights loudly on the other side of the restaurant. Hobbyists have problems by, let's say, fighting with two people at the D&D table and one person doesn't show up, and so now you can't do your campaign. Family has problems when you get to the get-together and you try to call grandma for being racist. Homies have problems because, some shit just got dark and nobody wants to talk about it, right? Work relationships are really weird because there's so many dynamics. Is it your boss? Is it your coworker? You have personal problems, so you also have to work together, okay? These are still communities. And then what I think people are really seeking deeply is intimate community. Community you feel and probably have seen on TV shows. You're like, when am I going to have that? When am I going to have the friends that come over to my house that sit and do nothing with me in my house? Okay, that's dependent on your circumstance. But I think there is sort of this like dream community that exists for people where it's like really, really safe. And this is special, and this can include different people from different communities that you've brought together to be in this one bubble together. Or it can be someone where it's like one-on-one. So maybe you have one friend in each community you can have that with, right? But I just want you to remember, right, is that like you have a unique existence, and your unique existence requires a unique solution. I am never giving you a one size fits all. The moment I see a comment, we're going to read it today, who claims I'm giving a one size fits all solution is not listening to me. I believe there are 8 billion evolved creatures on this planet, all of which have their own nuance and relationship to self. I could never give you a one size fits all. I do not believe in it. But what I do believe is that if you've reached your 30s and you are struggling to know yourself, you are struggling with community, you're struggling with friendship, you're struggling, then it is bigger. It is something deeply wrong with the way you are having a relationship to self. You are not deeply the issue. Your relationship with self is the issue. I want you to externalize this. I want you to understand, I'm not saying you are the problem. I'm saying your relationship with yourself is the problem. I'm giving you an out. I'm telling you, don't blame yourself. Understand you are having a bad relationship with yourself. And once you solidify that relationship with yourself, everything will get easier. Most likely. I've never seen someone not get better. I've never seen a philosopher, a teacher, a therapist ever say that this was not the solution. This is the universal solution most people seem to benefit from. If you have a better relationship with yourself, you'll have a better relationship with everything outside of yourself. I'm not blaming you. And I know the comment we're going to talk about later in this live stream, right, is, taking it personal and saying like, I've tried. Listen to me when I say this, Habibis, please. If we're looking at the male loneliness epidemic and we know for a fact these boys are blaming women, then why the fuck are you blaming everybody else too? Haven't we learned that blaming people isn't the answer? If men cannot blame feminism for their loneliness epidemic, then you cannot blame anything else either. Because it's not about blaming. It's about realizing why something happens and doing something about it, which is not blaming. Why something happens and doing something about it without blame. If these men in this loneliness epidemic could realize it's not feminism, it's their why and doing something about it, we would live in a better world. So we cannot act just like them and then make fun of them and not realize we're doing the same thing, okay? You have to be a good community member. So let's go ahead. We'll start off with these TikToks and we'll have the conversation. So there was a message going around TikTok where it said the price of community is inconvenience. I would say the price of community is spoons. The price of community is energy. The price of community is time. And I think in the right community, it is worth the investment. I think with the right friends, it is worth it. I think with the right friendships, it might take a spoon, give you a spoon. But the cost of community is spoon. Energy. Okay? So look at this TikTok.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that the cost of community is actually not annoyance, nor is it inconvenience, because if your giving was true giving, it would not feel like sacrifice or an inconvenience. And when it is from a sense of obligation and fulfilling a duty rather than from a place of enjoyment, it'll completely retract the point of collectivist approaches, because collectivist approaches emphasizes social harmony. And if you can't live harmoniously with the idea of enjoying giving to others, but you rather feel restraint towards it, then it will be very difficult to live harmoniously amongst others. And I was having this conversation with my friend, and I forgot the context, but he had said something that I resonated heavily with. And he had said, you can always make more money, but you can never buy more life, because life is invaluable and time is a limited resource. Which is why in my own life, I have always valued the experience I have had and will have with people, no matter the amount of money I have to pay to have those experiences. Now, I understand the notion that if you value life, you will be forced to value utility and monetary gain. But in my perspective, the biggest FU to a system that is inherently dysregulating is not letting it ruin my ability to give back to people and enjoying that process. Because what is life if I cannot share it with others? An example I can give of that in my life was back in high school. I used to play volleyball, and sometimes people after conditioning, they would stand outside and it would be late and their parents might have not come yet, and they didn't know if their parents would have come. And I obviously did my due diligence in communicating and validating the fact that they didn't know me well, but that it took nothing out of my day to help them, to give them a ride back home, and that they were not a burden and that they were not an inconvenience. Because if it is true giving, it would not feel like sacrifice.
Okay. So we've talked about this particular phenomenon before, and I do believe when you're actually doing the life you want and having the life you want, it feels less like sacrifice and more like excitement. You know, like saving your money to buy a house stops feeling like a sacrifice and starts feeling really exciting. Being disciplined starts feeling like you're doing a good thing. Like it doesn't make me feel like you're a burden. So when does something go from being something you're excited to do in being a burden is when the symbiotic relationship doesn't exist. Symbiosis is not the same thing as what's this word, guys? What's this word? What's the word when you like the red pillars say it all the time? Like you give me something, I'll give you something. What's this called? Because that's not symbiosis. I want you to be symbiotic. Symbiosis is when you're working in flow with one another. Okay, positive symbiosis. You're working for a positive thing together. You're working to, yeah, transactional. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. I don't want you to have transactional relationships. I want you to have symbiotic ones. Now, some relationships that are transactional are ones, let's say, with more stranger communities. So I'll give an example. So if we go back to our chart here, okay, when we're having a relationship with sort of our stranger communities, there is a sort of like need for it to be more transactional, right? We are engaging in public. We know how to act to bring down and de-escalate, hopefully, tense situations. We know how to, open doors for people, hopefully, or maybe not trip somebody on the sidewalk on purpose because that'd be crazy. Like we have a transactional relationship. I go to a cafe, I give you money, you give me my coffee. That makes sense. But it's not out of like community obligation or interest. It's out of the fact that that's just how this dynamic works because you have product, I have money, we exchange, right? In your relationships, they're about enjoying and loving the consciousness and you're building community with them, okay? And then you have to have a relationship too. It sort of, hold on, chat says symbiosis just refers to having a relationship. Mutualistic symbiosis is ideal symbiosis. Could refer to parasitic mutualistic. And yeah, so you can have negative symbiosis or positive symbiosis. So for the sake of this conversation, the reason I like the word symbiosis is because it makes it, we work together, but in the positive, not in the negative, right? That's why I like the word myself. Use whatever word translates to your brain to get the point across. That we are not building community for the sake of our ego or our narcissism or our wallets. We are building community for the sake of what is good, for the sake of what is right, for the sake of what is positive, for the sake of what is joyful, for the sake of what is good, right? We are not building it, right, for just a negative or a selfish reason. We're building it because it's, so that's why the boys who are like entitled to women's affection feel so gross to us. How am I supposed to build community with people who feel entitled to my body? How am I supposed to build community with people who are entitled to my labor? Right? Like, what is that? So we need to make sure that we end up giving appropriately to the best of our ability, and we still put down boundaries. Now, we can't build community with everybody, even though we're always in community. We're in government community, societal community, state community, neighborhood community. I mean, when we're in traffic and we're following traffic laws, we're in community together. We're in commune. We're communing together to follow the rules. And when somebody doesn't, it fucks everybody up. So the same way you can't come into a coffee shop and rant and rave is the same reason why you can't run red lights. It is a disadvantage for everyone. And if you keep running red lights, you're going to kill somebody one day. And if you keep coming into the coffee shop, I'm assuming you're going to bring a gun in one day and kill somebody. So you have to make the effort to make sure you signal to your community that you are safe. And then we play and take into consideration, we understand, not play, we take into consideration the nuances of people's social ability that might convey to some people creepiness when you're not meaning to be creepy. And that's where the ableism comes in. So much of us do end up experiencing ableism for real, where we're genuinely not meaning to be rude, we're genuinely meaning to be kind, and people just don't understand the way we talk because it's ableism. I get that. But you cannot claim ableism when you walk into a cafe waving a knife around. That's not ableism, honey. You're threatening people. And you need to know the difference. And the fact that people are out here trying to play games and be like, I don't know why you're threatened right now. I can't see why you would be threatened. What in the world could be threatening about me? You're holding a knife. I'm scared. Put the knife away. So you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to live to a standard. You have to engage in a standard. And then the standard is met by the community. We engage in a standard. Okay? If the standard for each community isn't good for you, you can find your own community. But you can't come into people's communities waving around a knife and being confused why people feel unsafe. But at the same time, communities should educate themselves to know the difference between somebody waving a wife around, somebody waving a knife around, and somebody who just talks a little bit more monotone and blunt because they're autistic or ADHD, so they talk a little fast. There's a difference between being manic and just talking quickly. There's a difference between waving a knife around and showing somebody your knife collection. These are different things. You can have a knife collection and not be a threat. You can have a singular butter knife and now I need to get ready to fight because you're so threatening. Do you get what I'm saying? it's not just the context or sorry, it's not the contents of the situation. It's the context as at a whole. I would be less afraid of a person showing off their knife collection than I would of a person waving around a butter knife and acting crazy. So again, we have to, as the adults in the room, discern when is somebody unsafe. And look, I try to be very lenient on people. And over the years, I've become stricter and stricter and stricter because even though I keep trying to give people chances, I can't have it be at the risk of the community. And what people aren't willing to understand is like, you are risking the community. And it usually starts off with something like this. At least in my community, this is what happens. Somebody starts getting triggered and being weird. People go, hey, you're acting kind of weird. I feel like what you're saying doesn't make sense. And then I say, hey, dude, like, do you mean this or do you mean this? And I go, okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal. And then that person comes back and starts ranting, raving, and picking fights with everybody. It's always picking fights with people. I don't know what is up with this pattern of human behavior. They pick fights with people, trying to say they're right and you're wrong. And then I go, hey, I'm going to ban you. And they go, you just want to silence me, Brittany. You just want to silence me. Girl, please go Kanye somewhere else. Because, okay, I want to be a safe space for people, but I'm not a safe space for your Kanye-like behavior. Okay, period. Discord said, one immediate thought I had regarding community. I think a lot of us spend time in highly dramatic, highly unwell communities at some point in our life. Relatable. What you talked about in terms of finding community where you can be messy, spectrum of messy and toxic, and maybe if you're lucky, they will give you leniency in a time to be better. I think this community had that energy before you reconstructed it. Thank God. True. They are important to people's journeys at different times in our lives, but I think too much exposure to those spaces after a while just rots your brain. True. Especially if you yourself are healthy and moving into a healthier path in life, even being around that sort of messiness becomes a drain. Exactly. When I did my Discord initially, it was a very open space. I was highly in boy bubbles too, so a lot more boys were on the Discord. And it was a very different space. A lot of us were being edgy. And then eventually I had to like start kicking people out because it started to become unsafe, where people felt, well, if you believe in mental health and you believe in disability and you believe in autism, then I can be unhinged in your space. No. You know what I mean? So again, here's the kind of people I want on my Discord. Here's the kind of people I want on my YouTube memberships. People who are willing to discern, meditate, take a step back, do better. If you feel like life is meaningless, there is no hope for you. No matter what I suggest, you won't listen. No matter what we suggest as a community, there's no hope for you. You're never going to be happy. You're never going to have friends. You're never going to have anything. It's not for you. There has got to be a standard. We do not want the parts of society that are incel boys on Reddit talking about how they're never going to find a girl and women will never love them and women don't deserve them and I feel entitled. I do not want you in my community. I don't. That's not the community I want to form. I don't want negative Nancys in my community. Okay? I want you to be interested in moving forward, actually trying to be kind to each other and compassionate. If you are going through something, we feel you. But we are not a therapy or a mental health Discord. We are not a space where you can trauma dump. That's not what we're doing here. Okay? So if you give that inkling, if you come into the Discord and you are doing that, I will have to ban you. Okay? And that's the end of it. I want to create a safe space, but I don't want a safe space for like people who are extremely damaged. Like you have to remember, I've already gone through this a million times with other people. I will never regret opening up a space to people, but I will never allow another person into my space, okay, who becomes a threat to people in my space. Because God knows, I don't know who's joining my Discord. Could be a stalker, could be a horrible person, could be, I don't know. But it's my job that when you start to act out of turn, that I just have to ban you. So please be adult enough, please be healed enough to know how to show up to a coffee shop without shitting, on the couches, without spilling your coffee on other people and other patrons. When you come into my coffee shop, please don't go to the book shelf and tear off pages from the books. And then be like, I'm autistic. I'm BPD. No. Okay? You can't come into my coffee shop and piss on the floor. Okay? I don't care the reason. Okay? Ugh. Okay, there, we did that. Next topic. Okay? Next topic. And by the way, I think this is a standard most spaces should have. Okay, I do. I think most spaces should give people the right. That's the problem is people say, I'm in therapy. Well, it's not working if you're pissing on the floor of the coffee shop. Your therapy isn't working if you find it okay to violate people's consent. Going to therapy isn't working if you're still acting out of turn, especially since you're an adult. This isn't a space where kids are. This is a space where adults are. Guys, adults, this is an adult space. And I am lecturing you like you're 15. Please make it make sense how you are the adult in the room, and I have to tell you not to violate people's consent. Make it make sense, people. Thank you. Okay, next video. Also, just to say it again, thank you for being most of my community. 99% of my community, fire, great, beautiful, healthy, stable. Love my community. Okay, but for the 1 in a billion that come in here, I have no tolerance. Thank you. Okay, next TikTok. Key thing that actually helped me make friends as an adult.
This year super lonely, and I've tried the friendship apps. I've tried Bumble BFF. I tried this other app called Vina. I guess it's an app that people don't know that much about, but I tried that. And I even tried to make friends through Tinder. Yeah. And obviously none of those actually worked for me. And outside of the organization that I started for Black women to make friends, I realized that there are things that I could do to make making friends as an adult a little bit easier. Number 1 is try to meet up in person as soon as possible. Part of what makes making friends as an adult so hard is that people are set into a routine, whether it's because they have kids, school, graduate school, whatever it is. People do the same things every day for the most part. And
Okay, I want to pause here. One size fits all is not our goal today. Our goal is to listen to different people from different bubbles and take what they say that it works for us and throw out the rest. Okay, this is one of the skills I have that I want to give to you. I can listen to the worst person on the planet and find something good about what they said and throw out the rest. It is a skill, and I need you to practice it. Because when I talk and you get defensive and you go, well, what she's saying doesn't apply to me. Well, then don't fucking do it, bitch. If what I'm saying doesn't apply to you, it's not about you, bitch. See how you're being narcissistic right now? It's not about you. It's like me giving advice to vegans and you being like, well, I'm not vegan. Well, it's not about you. You're so obnoxious. You're so obnoxious. Okay, you know what I love about this girl's TikTok? Is she's making such a great point, right? Everybody is in their routine. Everybody does do the same thing every day. I certainly do. And she said, everyone's living their life. They're going to grad school and having kids. And then I paused and went, oh, that's not my bubble. Nobody in my bubble is going to grad school or has kids. Like, not really. Like, I mean, my brother has kids, but like he's doing his own thing. And I have friends getting their master's degrees and everything, but it's not like the same vibe of what she's saying. But I think that's important to recognize too. Which bubble are you in? What does it mean for you? And what are you even trying to attain? I'm giving you suggestions based on possible outcome, just like she is. Just like she is, okay?
And I saw somebody say that you have to be thirsty to make friends as an adult. And in a way, yeah, that's true. You have to be able to show mutual interest without feeling embarrassed or being afraid of annoying the other person. Number 2, I would say be open. And when I say be open, I mean be prepared to understand that this person is a whole other person than you. This is not somebody that you spent your formative years with, right?
Exactly.
You didn't go to middle and high school or in college with this person. A lot of adults do not get the opportunity to actually interact and connect with people that are fundamentally different than us, right? Because we go to work every day and we're not really close to our coworkers. At least most of us aren't, or you wouldn't be looking for friends. I could really make a part 2 to this because there's just so much more to say, but I'm gonna leave you guys with my last point. Be prepared to have uncomfortable conversations. I tell the ladies in my organization this all the time. If you care about the potential friendship that you have with somebody, it's worth giving them the grace and understanding to explain if they did something to hurt you or just rub you the wrong way. And it's bound to happen when you're meeting new people, right? Like, y'all are just different people. I feel like in this day and age, we're so quick to just cut people off or, chalk it up to, oh, they don't like me or they're weird. In reality, people just think differently sometimes. I think the average adult doesn't really understand, me included until recently, doesn't understand how to speak non-violently or without an accusatory tone. And because of that, confrontations that really could be simple and an opportunity for you guys to understand each other better and know what each other needs as friends better, it turns into an argument and people just split ways. You really have to look at making new friends as something as time consuming, precious, and delicate as dating and looking for a relationship romantically, because friendships are a relationship and arguably a more important one that can last you a lot longer. So that's just my 2 cents.
I agree with so much of what she said. There are some nuances that won't exactly apply to my lived experience, but basically very good TikTok, right? Very good, very reasonable. You know, it has a lot of really salient points. But what you have to do is figure out what you want. What is the point of your desire? What is your hope, right? Because I do think we settle in friendships and community the way we settle in romantic relationships. Okay, listen. So many women I know, okay? Women I know, so many of them are older and doing so much emotional labor for their families that if they would just abandon that family, they would have the best life. But they can't because it's not where they're at right now. And they're trying to work with their families, okay? And I'm not saying abandon them for real. I'm using a hyperbolic word. But like sometimes I really think y'all need to, okay, let's go back to our chart here. Let's go back to our chart. Our family bubbles are beautiful, but if they will not grow, you are spending so much effort and time on a bubble that will never, ever reciprocate your dedication and will actually just drain your resources. Because, you know, for some of us, we are trying to break generational curses, which is so valid. We're trying to break that generational trauma. But the way you do it is by creating an open with boundaries relationship. So you guys know I don't talk to some of my siblings, not because I don't talk to them. You need to understand, I am happy to talk to my siblings, but they won't talk to me because they know I won't talk to them until we talk about the bad thing they did. And because they won't talk about the bad thing they did and they just want us to go on talking, I can't build community. I will not maintain community with people who won't have the conversations. The new standard I have for Brittany at this stage in her life, this was not always the standard. This was not always appropriate of a standard. Hear me when I say this. I am now at a time in my life where the standard has gone up again. It was always on an uphill battle. I was always gonna go up, but it wasn't always supposed to start that way. I came from too dysfunctional of a family right there in the middle. You know how it goes, where I needed to really heal myself in order to even create those boundaries. So I'm not saying wake up tomorrow and make big decisions. I'm saying know where you are in your healing journey, know where your community is that you were born into, and know what it looks like in the future. And then how do you make and maintain those boundaries or break those those relationships with that community? Because boundaries are what you do. It's not what your community does. Okay. So that's why I say, if you're triggered, have boundaries and walk away from a space so you can come back a little bit healthier. Okay. Now, hold on, pause. I lost my train of thought. Let me think. You are an individual. So you must individually decide your values and standards and how you show up. I know what role I'm playing in my family. For my inner circle, who is my family, my chosen family and my related family, I will always be available to them. And if they never want to talk to me again, that's also valid. But I will never block them. But it doesn't mean I will answer every time they text. Because I also have somebody in my family that when they are triggered, they will send you 500 fucking text messages calling you a bitch, calling you ugly, calling you stupid, calling you like the worst things you ever heard. They'll try to find every insecurity you have and they'll try to like basically trigger you. I have somebody like that in my inner circle. It's obviously mental health, but more than that, it's a choice based off values because they also have resources. So they have resources, they're educated, they could make a different decision, but because they refuse to engage in a reality where they have an incredibly mental health, they have a serious mental health problem, because they won't acknowledge it, they are unsafe. So I have a very strict relationship with this person. You can message me, you're not blocked, but just because you message me doesn't mean I'll answer. Because it always starts off great. Hey, I miss you. How are you? Hey, I miss you too. How are you? And then it starts off with like, how's work? How have things been doing? Hey, I'd really like to see you. I know things were crazy last time. It's like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then we try and then they go off again. And I go, hey, seems like you're still in the same place. Seems like we're going to have problems. When you talk, you insult, you're mean, you're belittling, you're cruel. I'm not cruel. You're cruel. You're probably a narcissist. You're probably crazy. Look at you. You think you're better than everybody else? Oh, you're a YouTuber. You think you're better than everyone else? I don't think I'm better than everyone else, but you're being deeply cruel to everybody in this space. You're accusing everybody of being a pedophile. You're accusing people of doing these things. You yourself have done similar things to the things you're accusing people of doing. But I'm saying you need to know that you've done these things, and that's why you're arguing with other people. You're accusing people of doing things that you yourself did but won't man up to. It wasn't like that. You don't understand. The situation was crazy. You don't get it. You're fucking a narcissist. I can tell. This is somebody I deeply love. And I am not in active community with them, but they are still my inner circle. Do you understand? If you know, you know. If you do not have this relationship with anyone, you will never know what this is like. But I know some of you know exactly what it is like. You know exactly. And it is exhausting. Chat says that sounds exhausting. It is so exhausting. And this is why I have not talked to this person since 2019. But that doesn't mean I will never not answer that text message if it's reasonable. It doesn't mean I will block that. I will never block this person. This person, their consciousness, I love this person. That doesn't mean I can't have boundaries. It doesn't mean I'll ever speak to them again either. Because I can't allow them in my community if they're going to attack the community. And I'm not the only one who's banned them from coming back to the get-togethers. As a collective, most of us have banned this person because it's so unsafe when they're around. Some of us start to wonder if we're going to need to protect ourselves, right? But we also understand that we love this person. Do you understand the realization of loving somebody and also creating that boundary? We would never want anything bad to happen to this person. We want this person to heal, but they're stuck. They're stuck in this this space in which no one can reach them. They've gotten therapy. They've gone to doctors. We've tried to get them help. They can't. Okay. So you can't build community with these people. But sometimes I do think these people are drawn to communities like the ones I create. Okay. And then they go off on us. And I say, you can't go off on the community. And they go, oh my God, you're the problem. You're the narcissist. It's you, Brittany. If it's me, it's also everybody else in the community, because I'm not the only one. I'm just the loudest one, girl, because I'm a Taurus and I'm an older sister. I'm just the loudest one because I'm taking on the responsibility of always being the person to call you out, which means the only weapon they have against me is, oh my God, she's such a narcissist. How dare you call a protector a narcissist? But also, I'm not the only one speaking. If I was the only one speaking, we'd have a conversation. But the dilemma is regardless of why they're in pain, and I know they're suffering, we can't let them come into the community until they're safe again. Okay? Chat says, scary how much this reminds me of my abusive ex's pattern of intentionally triggering my PTSD as a form of punishment, cruelty. Oh, yeah. Oh, this person is they will do that. They will find out your vulnerability and they will trigger you and they'll go, see, you're crazy. See how you're crazy? I think you, even when you love somebody, have the right to block this person. My values are not yours. My reason for not blocking them has nothing to do with what you should be doing. I know my role in this person's life. I know what I should do to help this person. And I also know what I should do to help my community as a whole and myself. This is difficult. When you love people deeply, but you see their flaws, you can come from a more compassionate place. So what I say to you is whether you're running a community like a Discord or running a community like your family get-togethers, it is going to be very painful to start to heal those generational trauma cycles. It's a very painful process, guys, because you know people. You knew them when they were babies. You saw them grow up, right? You see it happen. But what really matters is some people do the work and some people don't. And I'm sorry to say that some people are not going to do the work. And that is a really hard thing to radically accept, right? Okay. Chad says, how do you apologize and come back when you were the one who screwed up with the family? Well, and we've had this happen too. So we've had siblings, we've had family dynamics, we've had friends and family who have lied on our name, done horrible things, said bad things, and they were able to make a recovery because when they came back and apologized, it didn't include a but. They understand what they did. They meant the apology and they never did it again. And every time we talk about it, they're not afraid to talk about it. They don't shy away from it. They don't get defensive. When it gets brought up again, they're like, yeah, I did that. I really fucked up. And it takes a community effort to invite that person back in. And I'm saying you are always able to recover. And if you are close to people in your family, if you are close to people in your community, if this is inner circle, you can always come back. That's what I'm trying to say. Inner circle can always come back, but you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. And if you can't do the work, you can't come back. But you can always come back. Everybody else, though, you have to pick and choose which community you're going to allow them to do the work. So, okay, as an example on the Discord, when I've had people in the past say, hey, it's been 8 months, it's been 12 months, I did the work, can I come back? No, because the Discord is my working space. You're a stranger. At the end of the day, this is my job. And you came into my coffee shop and you are a stranger. You are, you are not my friend. You're not my friend. And even if you were my friend, you can't come to my place of work. I think people forget what the Discord is. Guys, it's a $10 fee to come into my Discord because it's here to fund the content. I'm at my work. I built a coffee shop. It's my job. I built a library, I built a coffee shop with a book section that runs debates once a week or a philosophy event, right? You have to understand this is a public space. So you have to act in accordance. You can't treat this space the way you would treat your family or friends because we're not your family or friends. You might make friends. You might marry each other from my Discord. God knows that happens. You might do all those things, but I, Brittany Simon, am still a content creator running a public space in the same way I would be if I was running a con, like a Comic-Con, or the same way I would be running if I was running a BDSM dungeon, or the same way I'd be running if I was running a bookstore. Okay? So first, we have to acknowledge where we're at. What is the situation and what is the appropriate thing to do here, right? Why do we have rules for conduct at work? Because there's different standards of expectation in terms of fucking the boss or not fucking the boss. It's not that two adults can't fuck, but maybe don't fuck the boss. Okay? You have to know where you're at. Do you know where you are right now? Because that's the thing that's missing. Do you know where you are right now? Because that's what's missing for me. Sometimes when I say read the room, I also mean, do you know where you are right now? Because you're feeling really strange for acting out the way you are when we're inside of a church. Like, why are you fucking in the back corner when Jesus is right in front of you? That seems weird. Do you know where you are right now? That's what it feels like to me. First, we have to know where we are, and then we have to act accordingly. Okay, next TikTok.
Or just kind of checking in about your life. The bane of female friendships is that they either go towards talking about boys, your relationships, what's going right or wrong, or just kind of checking in about your life. And talking about your life isn't actually living life together. And I think we all know that having deep, meaningful female friendships is one of the great treasures of life. And these are the 5 things that I've found that I practice all the time that actually do that.
Okay, pause. Personally, for Brittany, I don't value thinking about friendship or connection through gender. So what does it mean to have female friendships, right? That's a very specific relationship with self. That's a specific dynamic. Take that with a grain of salt because sometimes in your life, like sometimes when you're building community, you want it to be a specific gender. You want to hang out with the boys. You want to hang out with the girls. You want to hang out with the they, thems. You have to decide where you are and what community you're trying to build. I remember being in my 20s and joining women's events because I needed that space. Now at 36, I don't need those spaces, but I appreciate them. But like, I'm not there anymore. Now I'm all about gender inclusivity. I want all the genders there, all the genders, you know, but that's where I am. Where are you in your life? Where are you on your journey? What do you need from a community? Because what you need from community is different than what you need from friendships. Hear me. Friendships are one-to-one. You have every single one of my friends has a different relationship with me. We negotiate. It's us together. Nobody else is included. What's our relationship? Then if it's a group dynamic, you have a relationship to the group. If it's a community dynamic, you have a relationship to the community. These are different dynamics. These are different dynamics. Okay? So you have to think about that. Okay, back to the TikTok.
And take my female friendships from like a task that I'm checking off the list of like, okay, I saw that person, to something that's actually nourishing. And the first is just that you have to be out there creating shared experiences together, living life together. So you can either go out, you can plan fun adventures, whatever it is that's your style to do. You can take a trip to Mexico, go camping, go to a music festival, go see a play in your town, go to an art museum, whatever. Or you can try and learn something new or start a hobby, because that's going to keep you in a structure where you're learning, you're growing, and you're being vulnerable with each other, because learning something new is really vulnerable. Second thing is to practice seeing each other. That's a cornerstone of your friendship. You know, Alan Watts says one of the most universal games is hide and seek. And this is kind of like what the divine is doing with itself. It's hiding. I'm you. Oh, there I am. I'm me. There I am. And we just need so much mirroring and witnessing. And when we can see each other,
I think it's a red flag that she referenced Alan Watts, but that's okay.
we blossom. I like to use a modality like astrology, human design, the Enneagram.
She's
whatever
spiritual. She's a spiritual bubble girly. I just used her because she's a different bubble. So okay, so let's practice. Take the good of what she's saying and throw out the rest. Take the good of what she's saying and throw out the rest.
the hell you want to get into, and just be like, I'm going to know you. I'm going to know your process. I'm going to support you in your soul actualization, and kind of try seeing your girlfriends with the same intensity and persistence that you used to reserve for guys that you were into. You know, like when I have a guy I'm into, I will have an app on my phone where I keep a list of things that I'm excited to ask him about. Right? I want to know about his life. I want to know about what he thinks about certain topics.
Okay, this is really important, actually. So I have friendships, and this is important. I think it's reasonable to want to, because what we do when we're dating is we want to know everything about that person because we're excited to get to know that person, right? Because we think we're going to be with them. Friendships should be similar, but the friendships you have should be specific. So not all my friendships, I'll be real with you, I don't need to know everything about my friends. I actually don't. It's not that I don't want to know, but it's like I don't have the spoons to remember all of these things about people. I have too many friends. I am very blessed. You know what I mean? I am very blessed to have so many good people in my life that I have to make the decision not to remember everybody's boyfriend's names, or not to remember everything about them, or not to remember all their parents' names, because I literally can't. But certain friends get major priority, so I make an effort. I make the effort to remember their names, remember who they are, and it's very hard because I'm a visual learner. So when most people are talking to me about their life, it's just audible, and so then I have to remember and try to remember who is who in people's lives. But that's the other thing, is being okay that not everyone remembers. Like sometimes I'll talk to a friend and I'm like, I don't know if you remember, I talked to you about my brother. It's okay that you don't remember, but I'm just going to remind you that this is who I'm talking about. They're like, oh yeah. Okay. Thank you. It's like, I'm not going to take it offensively that they didn't remember. But if it's like my best friend of 27 years, maybe I'd be a little weirded out that she forgot who one of my brothers was, because I don't know, she grew up with them. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that'd be a little weirder. But in general, like I think there needs to be an ability for people to just say, this is what I can remember about you, right? Chet says, do people keep lists of things they like doing with certain people? I mean, people keep lists for all reasons, guys. You know what I mean? Like people keep lists for all the reasons. Like I keep a list of things. Like if my partner is busy and I want to remember to tell them something, I make a list of all the things I want to remember to tell them because I'll forget. That's what I thought she was saying. She's just saying, I write down a bunch of things I want to remember to ask this guy I'm seeing. So why wouldn't I do that with my girlfriends? But you can't do it with all of your girlfriends. You can only do it with some of the people in your life. That's what I want to, that's the thing I want people to understand. You are not going to treat every person the same. You're going to treat every person like an individual. And that means every individual has its own requirements of what you expect from them. Okay? That's it. That says, have you heard apparently there is a popular TikTok trend that said you need 7 friends that fulfill each specific role? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in a specific number of friends. I don't believe in friends fulfilling roles. I don't believe in any of that. I think all of that is a construct. I don't adhere to it. I don't believe in it. I do not put a number on friendships. I do not put a number on anything. I put a limitation based off my energy and spoons and my ability to give quality relationship and connection. I do not believe in numbers. I do not believe like, oh, you have to have 3 close friends or 7 close friends or 10. I don't give a fuck about any of that, bros. But if it works for you, do it. But it will never work for me. It will never work for me to limit myself except based off of what I can give myself, my own energy. Because like maybe I'll have more energy in the future. And I don't want to say like, oh, a real friendship is when you have like one close friend or 10 best friends or what. That's what I think is fucking everybody up, by the way. Because then you reach 40 and you're like, I have no close friends. Okay, that's interesting. We should talk about that. Or somebody who's like, oh, I've never had a boyfriend and I'm 30. So why do you think that's important? Maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. It depends. It depends on your life. But if you sit around and say, oh, people think I'm a freak because I don't have a boyfriend. Well, are you? Or, oh, I'm a freak. I've never kissed a girl. But are you a freak? Or do people just make you feel that way? Like, are you? Like, you have to decide. Maybe you are a freak. Maybe you're doing something horrible to people. Maybe you're not. It's not a one size fits all. We don't know. We don't know. You have to deconstruct so we can find out, right? Discord said that to the chatter's comment, this isn't about family, but generally, I think a lot of people don't realize how far genuine apologies go. I recently made amends with someone I hurt once, and he really appreciated my apology. I was hesitant to reach out because sometimes you risk hurting people by reopening wounds. Very true. If enough time hasn't passed, I had sat on the apology for a month because I wasn't ready, but ultimately decided to go with it. Making an apology without explaining yourself, without making excuses, showing you understand how you hurt that person by stating it clearly, and an apology without an expectation of anything, including without the expectation to be forgiven. Yes, ma'am. I'd say most people appreciate genuine apologies, even for the small things. I think it makes a world of difference. Yes, I agree. It can really make a world of difference, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Like actually apologizing, world of difference. World of difference. Okay. All right. Back to this TikTok.
And then I just go with my girlfriends and I'm like, yeah, how's work? No, get involved, get into it, get into their struggle, into the developmental process of them coming.
If that's the relationship you want with those people. Because I don't like the idea that romantic relationships are the same kind of intimacy with friendships, because they're just not for me. For me, my romantic intimacy is different and more significant than my friends, but not in the way you think. So I remember I dated a guy and we were dating for like on again, off again for 5 years. You know the story. And he said to me, when am I going to be as important to you as your best friend and your sister? And I said, I'm sorry, I haven't known you for 27 years. Because I thought that was what it was. But what I realized, it wasn't the time I knew them. It was the compatibility and the love for one another and the therapy. It was like the therapy of it all, the health of it all. Have we gone to therapy? Have we done the work? When I told my ex you should go to therapy, he said, fuck off. When I told my bestie to go to therapy, she went to therapy. It's not how long I've known her. It's the fact that when I say, I love you, you need therapy, she goes to therapy. Not because Brittany said it, but because she trusts me to suggest it and trusts herself to make the decision on her own. He never allowed me to make a suggestion that would help him. He never allowed me to help him, but he begged me to support him financially, emotionally, and all the things. But he never took it. When he suggested I go to therapy, I went to therapy. And he was right. I needed therapy. He just didn't know my therapist would encourage me at the end of the day to be healthy, which would mean that we would break up. Oops. 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 Okay. So that's the thing. It's like when I have friends and family in my life and I say, hey girl, I feel like this is above my pay grade. You might need to go to therapy. They go, shit, let me go to therapy. If my friends came to me and said, hey, Britt, it's time. I think you have to go to therapy. I'm like, fuck, okay. But it would have to be somebody I trust, because I have definitely friends in my life who have been triggered by me. And instead of realizing like, hey, you're the one who's fucking triggered, they're like, hey, I think you need therapy. They're not telling me I need therapy because I need therapy. They're telling me I need therapy because they need therapy. So then how do you know the difference? So I have people in my life that I do like, there's like a litmus test about, hey, where you are right now. So if a friend comes to me and says, I really think you're fucked up. Like, I think you're really fucked up because you think gender is fluid and I think you really need therapy. Well, obviously it's easy for me to say, okay, I'm not going to get therapy for gender fluidity, because you're transphobic. So you're not going to listen to a transphobe tell you to go to therapy, right? About being trans. Like that's not the person you listen to. Okay? So if your friend comes to you though, and they go, hey, I have noticed that every time we talk on the phone, you keep bringing up body dysmorphia. Do you think maybe it's time to talk to somebody about it? I'd be like, oh shit, you're right. I do talk about that every time we talk. This isn't a real example. I'm just giving you an example. I'd say, oh shit, you're right. Yeah, I do talk about it every time we talk. Okay, yeah, let me look into some support for that. You're right. See how there's a difference there? Do we see how there's a difference? Like, hey, every time we talk, I kind of noticed, but then if they fight with you, if they bigger, so how do you build community with people that aren't willing to have the conversation? When I approached one of my brothers, I said, hey bro, I really love you. I need to talk to you about something pretty serious. Can we talk? He said, wait, what is this about? I said, well, I don't really want to text you about it. I want to talk to you. And his reaction, guys, it was about a girl. It was a way he mistreated a girl. This is his reaction right away. What bitch have you been talking to? And what did she say about me? I said, listen here, boy. Listen here. I said, I cannot believe that not only do you know exactly why I'm calling you, but you use the misogynistic language to say, which bitch have you been talking to? Anyways, he's not talking to me right now. He knows what he did. That's what I'm saying. You know what you did, homie. If that is your reaction, me say, hey, bro, I love you. We need to talk. What girl? So anyways, do you know what I'm saying? If you know, you will know. You have to discern. I knew I was worried for my brother that he was going to go down a path of making a pattern out of the way he treated women. And so I tried to intercept and suggest something good for him. And he wouldn't even get on the phone with me, girl. He wouldn't even get on the phone with me. He's like, nah. I'm like, nah? Nah? The amount of times this boy has slept on my couch, you said, nah? Bruh. Anyways, okay. Building community is hard. Okay. Two more TikToks. Okay, look at this.
Hey, so you actually do owe your friends shit. You do owe them kindness, respect, loyalty, all of the good things that are supposed to come with a friendship. You do owe them that. I don't know how we got into this mode or this realm of the world where it's like, oh, well, I don't owe them anything. Yeah, you do. You do owe people kindness. Like, it's literally the simplest, most basic shit, like human decency, that you guys swear you don't owe each other. Why not? What is that about? Contrary to popular belief,
okay, what do we think about Discord said you owe people things? PDA triggered. I agree with this, but I want to add a caveat. So here's my caveat. Let me add it. Hold on. Let me go find. I forgot to bring up the TikTok. Okay.
You'll be like, oh, nobody.
Okay, I agree with this, but different. I like the way he phrases it better.
Be like, oh, nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you kindness or respect. And I'm like, yeah, that's my point. If you were a good person, you would do it just because you want to. You'll be like, oh, no.
Okay, so the contrast is, yeah, no one owes you kindness and compassion, but if you were just that person, you would be. So like, I am a community person.
Nobody owes you kindness or respect.
I am a community person, but I'm not I am a nomadic community person. Okay. So we have to talk about your category. Are you the kind of person who volunteers every weekend to go clean up the streets? That's a different type of community person. I am more nomadic, meaning I'm always available. You can call me. For my inner circle, if you call me at 2 a.m., I'll answer. Now, if you call me 2 a.m. every day for a month, we have to do something about that because girl has to sleep. That means something bad is really happening. Something bad is now happening that you're calling me every day at 2 a.m. But okay. Oh, hold on. Actually, this reminds me. I want to talk about this. Guys, what's an emergency? Explain to me what an emergency is. Somebody tell me. What if I said, how would you define what an emergency is? What would you say? What would you guys say? What do you think? Chad says, I think you owe friends stuff to a degree, not the same degree that I would extend to a family or inner circle. Exactly. I agree with that. Okay. Chad says, when you can't do something on your own, ? Something terrible will happen if I don't tell you. No coffee in the morning is an emergency. Life-threatening. Dying, death, injury, mental health crisis. No. Don't give me examples of an emergency. What is an emergency? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. A distressing situation that needs immediate attention. Thank you, Discord. Exactly. A distressing situation that needs immediate attention. Thank you, Discord. Exactly. An emergency is a situation has now occurred out of the norm and it needs immediate attention. We're in emergency mode. SOS. SOS. Okay? That is an emergency, which actually reminds me, hold on, there is an emergency happening in the TikTok community right now. And now that I'm thinking about it, where is it? Nope, that's wrong. Just kidding. Not that one. Oh my God, where is it? Why do I save so many TikToks? Do I just have like a TikTok addiction? What is this? I have so many TikToks. Hold on. Did you guys see that Christian's niece is missing? Hold on. Christian Divine. You guys know Christian. We've reviewed their TikToks 1,000 times. Oh, it's unavailable. Okay, maybe they found her. Never mind. Christian said there was a little girl missing in his community, but maybe they found her. The video's gone. Okay, good. Maybe they found her. Okay, never mind. I was going to make a community SOS announcement. Never mind. See? Community coming together. Okay, never mind. It's gone. Hopefully they found her. So I am great in an emergency. But if you're having an emergency every day, that's not an emergency. That's a lifestyle. Okay? Discord said your hot Cheeto addiction is an emergency. Listen here. I will not be judged. Just kidding. Listen. I am great in an emergency situation. My partner, actually, one of the things I love about my partners, they are so good in an emergency situation. Holy shit. They are so good at it. But if you have an emergency situation every fucking day, girl, you are the emergency. And people should stay away. You cannot have an emergency every fucking day, people. Okay, chat said they found her. There was an update video. Thank goodness. Okay, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Okay, great. Good update. Okay, that's the difference. If you are literally, okay, have an emergency every day. That's the thing with toxic relationships. You know, people in toxic dynamics are like, oh my God, we're always fighting. We're always having makeup sex. We're always like cheating. There's always like, will they, won't they? Yeah, you're just in like a constant state of like trauma. Cortisol levels must be crazy. That's not what we want, girl. We do not want you to be in a constant state of emergency. But at some point, that's not an emergency. That's you. Yes, it becomes a personality trait. Exactly, chat. It becomes your personality. And now, girl, you're just toxic. The community isn't abandoning you. You abandoned yourself. You have to heal. Girl, I recorded 2 episodes of Queer Ultimatum. Oh my God. The trauma. Holy shit, the trauma. Talk about self-abandonment. Girl, the trauma. The trauma. Oh my God. I'm going to have them up for you ASAP. Crazy. I was screaming at my computer screen like, you've got to be kidding me. Nothing is more toxic, if you know, than somebody in a toxic relationship that when they break up with their partner says they're regressing because they broke up. I had that happen. My toxic relationship was like, the sign that you're regressing is the fact that you want to break up with me. And I was like, I think that might be a sign I'm healing. But for them, they're like, no, this is bad. You're going backwards. No, sometimes healing looks like breaking up, guys. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, that episode had me screaming at my screen. And that's the thing, guys, kicking people out of your community can be a sign of healing. But you have to discern which one it is. You have to decide, hey, am I kicking people out of the community? Am I bullying somebody out of my community? Because guys, I was bullied in high school. Does anybody remember this story? I was bullied by my first cousin in high school. She accused multiple people. She would make up stories about people. She was like really homophobic, even though she said she wasn't. And she'd go around making friends with people. She was like she's mentally ill. It happens. There's a lot of that in my family, okay? And she would create rumors about people. She created a rumor about me. And I said, what are you doing? And she goes, and the community started coming at me. My girlfriends started attacking me on campus, 7:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm like 17 years old. I could have skipped a year of school, but came back to school to hang out with my friends. And I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And then she would say things. And even 10 years later, when I would try to confront her again and be like, why did you say that about me? She was like, I never said that about you. And I was like, what do you mean? You did. It tore up the whole family. Guys, this girl spread a rumor so bad that it tore up my literal uncles and aunties. Like the family divided. And then years later, when I asked her, why did you do that? She goes, I never did that. Anyways, God bless her. She's, it is what it is. Like, anyways, I left high school. And I independent studied myself out of high school. And it was a lesson for me to learn that like, I can't control other people. But I know what it's like to be bullied out of the group. But what I realized in that moment is like, who was the community who had my back? It was my parents. My parents have my back, have all their kids' backs every time they need them. My parents always have my back. When that stalker came into my life and I was terrified, my parents had my back. Other people abandoned me. And then years later, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't know what to do in the situation. It didn't matter. You didn't know me enough to even understand that obviously this was like a lie. And I learned every time that who my community was the people who were there and would ask me questions. Now, is my family community perfect? No. Because they're bigots. Like, isn't that ironic? But like, it's not that ironic, actually. The difference is that we have the conversations. The difference is that we understand there's tension. But I tell you this, I know my family dynamic isn't healthy all of the time, but it is healthy enough of the time to make an effort. Stay with me here, process that information with me, really digest it, embody it. It is not perfectly healthy, but it is more healthy than dysfunctional. And so we work on it. If it is more dysfunctional than healthy, we think about abandoning it. We think about letting go of it. If you have independent friendships with one-on-one people in which it is more dysfunctional than healthy, it's okay to move away. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it is okay to realize like you will have betrayals. You will have people turn on you. But there is a difference between turning on you when you're innocent and turning on you when you fucked a kid. And sometimes people think it's the same. It is not the same, girls. Okay? It is not the same. And the way people in these communities act like it's the same, it is not the same. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. Do not let people who physically beat their partners, who abuse their, like, act like it's the same. Everyone can get better. Everyone can get better, but not everyone gets better in the same way. And sometimes getting better means sitting your ass in prison. If you're really better, you should know where you belong. Prison. Not the prison system we have now, but prison. Okay? If you really know what you did is wrong, lock yourself up. Lock yourself up. If you really know what you did is wrong, don't come back to this community. If you really understand what you did is wrong, don't try to date that person again. If you really know what was wrong, do not explain yourself through an apology that has a butt in it. Okay? It is hard to maintain community because community requires you to heal, and it requires you to be patient, and it requires you to be kind, and it requires you to put down boundaries. You have to know yourself. Last TikTok.
What I've been observing is that people want to experience the benefits of community without actually doing the things that they need to do to be in community. And I personally believe that cultivating a community is a skill set that everybody needs to focus on right now, because community is the one thing that's going to help us survive and to help you connect with people so that we can build parallel systems to the one that we are dismantling right now. And I say learning how to be in a community because for the majority of people, especially if you were born and raised in the US, a country in the West, or if you're not from a collectivist culture, you're always going to center yourself. You're always going to make it about you because this is a very individualistic culture. Being in community is not convenient and you have to sacrifice something.
Okay, this is a different form of language. What I think what you invest in is your energy, is your spoons. Okay? I think here's the trap. The trap is all of our former communities never existed, except to say that they existed in a way that I wouldn't want them to exist now. I don't want my family's community that my parents had, because in my parents' former community, pedophiles sat at the dinner table. Process that information once again. Bigots sat at the dinner table. People were invited to the get-togethers. And remember, when I say pedophiles, I'm really being hyperbolic a bit, but it's like they were fucking 15-year-olds or 12-year-olds, so pedophiles. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, it wasn't a 5-year-old, but let's be so fucking for real. Okay? So I don't want you to sacrifice. I want you to be joyful and engaging in time spent that, yes, might leave you a little tired at the end of the night, but it's worth it. It is worth being tired for the right people. It is worth being tired for the right community. It is worth being tired. It is worth being tired. But then you have to understand, is it worth being tired? Because sometimes it's not worth being tired. And that's when you know the difference. When it stops being worth being tired, that's fair. But for me, it is always, for the community that I have built, worth being tired. But I can't do it on my own. You have to do it with me. We have to do this together. I will not put in more effort than you're putting in, but I will always put in the right amount of effort. Meaning, with my brother as an example, I have many brothers. I have 8 brothers. So I'm talking about different brothers interchangeably. You guys don't need to know the details about which one I'm talking about, okay? But when I'm talking about my brothers, I put in the effort and I say, hey, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to give you resources. The brother still has to say yes to the resources. If he doesn't say yes to the resources, he's not doing his part. And then he'll say, I don't have a community anymore. My sister abandoned me. Your sister didn't abandon you. You abandoned yourself by not taking the resources because you wanted in at the family gathering when you're disrespecting women. No, you can't come. Okay? That's the problem. Everybody has the life. Life is, okay, philosophically speaking, your life is a reflection of what you put into it, especially if you're 30 plus, period. Guys, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. The only difference and the only radical exception to this is if you are incredibly vulnerable as a person, which just is not a majority of the people. So guys, in order for you to be that exception of incredibly vulnerable, you probably wouldn't be privileged enough to be on the internet. Or you probably wouldn't be privileged enough to even have this conversation. The world statistically is suffering, and we are all suffering too much for all of us to be the exception. There are truly exceptional people that are at such a disadvantage that they are completely vulnerable in ways that you just are not. Yes, we are all vulnerable. All of us are vulnerable. The question is, are you really aware of your vulnerability and your action and how you've contributed to the state of your life, right? And that's the problem. Chet says, I have trouble finding people it's worth being tired for because they don't put the same amount of energy in. I found myself discouraged. That's okay, but let's talk about it. So then we have to go back to our chart. Let's go back to our chart. Okay. When we say we're willing to be tired for certain people, what does that mean? You're willing to go to your D&D night and do your hobby night with your hobby friends and stay up till 3 a.m.? Hey, that might be worth it. Are you saying I don't find people one-on-one that are worth being tired for? Okay, maybe you're the friend that's not worth being tired for. Are you the friend that's worth being tired for? Because the friend who's worth being tired for isn't entitled to friendship. The man who's worth dating, who's safe, isn't entitled to a woman's body. The woman who's worth dating isn't only there for his money. The question is, like, are you really doing the work? Are you really like that person? Okay, now you might be hearing me and mistaking my words. So if you need clarification, if you're like, wait, let me give you an example of the circumstance I'm in, and I give you a suggestion, you're like, no, that won't work. That won't work. That won't work. It will never work. Girl, you just told us you are the problem. If everything I suggest is something that will never work for you, if you've read 1,000 books, it will never work for you. If you've seen a therapist, it's not working for you, girl. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Okay, back to the video.
And when a US American hears this, they're like, oh my God, I have to form my boundaries and I need to have my peace of mind. And I get that. Trust me. I was born and raised in the United States of America. And there were times when I was like, I just want to make this decision for myself. And that's it. But that's just not how a collectivist culture works. Like your decision impacts, like there's like a ripple effect that your decision impacts like 5 other, 10 other, 20 other people in your life. In a community, you constantly have to decenter yourself and only your needs. Of course, this doesn't mean to overextend yourself and to overgive, but you have to invest.
I would say it depends on the community you're forming. This is very important, guys. It depends on the community you're engaging with, because a lot of us have a multitude of communities. I don't extend the same amount of energy in every community I'm a part of because I'm a community hopper. I don't have just one community. I have like 7. So ask yourself, are you a community member with only one community, or are you a community member with 7 different communities? Because you play a different role in each of those communities. The question I would say, the thing I would pose to you is, what's my role in the community and how do I show up to the best of my ability?
time and build trust with people so that there is this flow of reciprocity. This is a passage from All About Love by Bell Hooks
Okay,
in
shout
the
out.
section about community. The willingness to sacrifice is a necessary dimension of loving practice and living in community. None of us can have things our way all the time. Giving up something is one way we sustain a commitment to the collective well-being. Our willingness to make sacrifices reflects our awareness of interdependency. Writing about the need to bridge the gulf between rich and poor, Martin Luther King Jr. preached, "All men and women are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single
Didn't he cheat on his wife? So much for being a community member.
garment of destiny."
Sorry, my bad. See, to me, cheaters are bad community members. But see how Martin Luther was a part of different communities? So in some communities, he was probably really great for, I don't know, like civil rights. But maybe he was a bad community member when it came to cheating. Okay? This is why it's complicated. Because we don't just exist within the construct of like one form of being in community. And so you have to decide, how am I showing up in my community in different ways that actually is going to play a good role? Like, are you actually a good role model? Are you good for the community? Okay. Chet says he was a womanizer, not a cheater. I don't know, bro. I read that he was a cheater, but maybe that's propaganda. Who knows? But being a womanizer isn't much better. Sounds like he's still bad for the community. So yes, we all exist in communities, but then we all play different roles. So, okay, somebody was mad and I understand, and I got upvoted a lot. So let's talk about it. This comment was on my last video. This person said there's no one size fits all path to community, and trying to frame it as if you don't have it, it's your fault is just wrong. It's cruel. I never said that. Why you triggered? I never said that. Why you triggered? How are you going to hold yourself accountable without understanding it's your responsibility? If an incel man on the internet exists and says women won't date me and I don't know why, maybe it's your fucking responsibility. Maybe it is you, homie. No single woman, no one in your life. You have no way to form connection. You think maybe there's something fucking wrong with you. You think maybe it's the way your parents raised you. Maybe it's your trauma. Maybe it's your environment. Maybe it's your outlook. You think maybe it's still your fucking responsibility? I never said one size fits all. I will never say one size fits all. But I swear to God, if I hear one more person complain and you are a grown ass adult about making fucking friends while talking about taking down the patriarchy, I will literally gag. I will literally gag. You're talking over, we're literally facing genocides, famines. We're talking about a housing crisis, a mental health crisis, and God forbid y'all can't sit down and figure out how to make friends. Maybe it is you, sis. Maybe it is you, okay? They said, especially for people who are doing their best to navigate life under difficult circumstances, I am autistic, and I would expect another autistic person to understand the limitations that can come with that. I do, which is why I gave you a suggestion. I do understand the limitations for some autistic experiences, so I'm giving you some goddamn suggestions. But if you're not going to take a girly, be a statistic of an unfriendly or a friendless autistic person, go ahead and continue to add to the statistic of friendless autistic people because you refuse to engage with the fact that you possibly are one of those autistic people who, not because of your autism, but because of your personality, nobody wants to be your friend. Because as an autistic person, I don't struggle making friends, but what I did struggle with was understanding how those friends play a role in my life. And I'm telling you right now, you have to understand how people are meant to play a role in your life. That's the distinction. You probably don't have a hard time making friends, but you definitely have a hard time playing a role in people's lives. These boys on Reddit who are incels are often autistic and neurodivergent. Yes, that means something's wrong with how your brain processes information because you keep trying to one size fits all yourself into neurotypical scripts. Stop doing that. As an autistic person, the way that it helped me understand friends was by treating everybody individually and understanding my place in their life and then negotiating with them. When I make a new friend, I say, hey, I want to be friends with you, but I don't want to come to your house and I don't want to make an effort. And maybe if you're in Europe, I'll see you, but also maybe not. And they go, okay, cool. Let's see where it goes. I go, okay, cool. Now that is very abnormal. That is not typical. And why do I do that? Because I'm autistic and I can. Because they're autistic and they understand. Because I am not here to be your next best friend. I already have a best friend. But that doesn't mean I don't want to make connections. Do we understand the difference? I literally sit there with people and go, hey, it's been really nice knowing you and I like you so much, but I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I'd like to invest that time in other people because I feel like this is the end of our time together. And then that person has to go, damn, I'm sorry to hear that, but I get it. I wish you well. And I go, I wish you well too. Bye. Because I learned that I needed specific things from friendships and I needed it to feel organic, not pushed, not forced, organic. Organic, because I love you, the consciousness, and I'm bonding and I feel deeper with you. Okay? Rather than the opposite. Now, if you're young, this is different. If you're old, this is specific. Okay? This person is old. This person is my age. I'm going to lecture you like a 36-year-old because I expect you to be an adult. Okay? If you're 22, if you're 19, girls, you're in struggle mode. This is hard. You're figuring out who you are. Your brain is developing. Your life is like, you're expanding your understanding of the universe. But this person is 36. So I'm going at this person the way I'd go at myself at 36. I am sick of us looking at older men. The vice president of the United States is 38 years old. Please lock in and get it together, girls. Lock in and get it together. That a man who is literally our age is in charge of our reproductive rights in our fucking US government. Please get it together. You can't make friends? Bitch, this man is about to take away your basic civil rights. Focus. Focus. It doesn't matter that he is the vice president and you're not, even though it's a little bit, it matters a little bit. But please remember that he is literally our age. He is literally our age group. He could be our friend at the bar and he's out here hanging out with world leaders. So please fucking lock in. If you tell me, hey, I'm 36 and I'm really struggling, then it is your responsibility to figure out why you are struggling so deeply. Well, the whole world gets taken over by fascism, okay? Please lock in and focus. Thank you. Okay. It goes on to say, I have tried my entire life to figure out how to socialize. I haven't been able to figure it out. I am in therapy. I work to improve myself every single day, and I'm working to get supports that will help me with that. But I haven't had them in 36 years of my life because I didn't even know that I needed them because I didn't know I was autistic until this year. Okay? Exactly. You are telling me exactly why you've been struggling. So why the fuck are you mad at me for giving people tools to not struggle? Okay, great. So you know you got fucked over. You know you weren't diagnosed. You know you're struggling. Why are you yelling at me? And why are 10 people upvoting this? If you know you're fucked, then you should pay attention to the fact that that means you're not where you need to be. And whatever you're doing isn't working because you're not doing the right things. Chet says she's venting. Well, you can vent somewhere else before you sit here and lecture me about me not doing good. She literally said I was cruel. She literally said I was cruel. It's not cruelty, Habibi. It's reality. Reality is a very difficult thing to accept. And I'm telling you, once you accept it, your life will get better. And I don't mean it in some Andrew Tate way. I'm not a sex trafficking Republican. I'm a progressive, gender fluid bitch on the internet. And I'm telling you right now, you can get better. But you're not going to get better if you don't hold yourself responsible for the fact that your relationship with self was difficult. You can say your life was hard, but that doesn't mean I'm cruel for pointing out solutions to make it better for some people. I do not believe in one size fits all. So the fact that this person heard one size fits all is a part of the problem. If I can say men on the internet who feel entitled to women's bodies are obviously mentally ill, then what are you? Because you're certainly entitled to community and friendship. Why? Why are you more entitled to relationship and community than they are to women's bodies? What do you think is the actual difference? What do we really think is the difference, girls? Can someone explain to me what the difference is? If the entitlement is there, what's the difference? I don't get the difference. I'm not maybe it's my autism. I'm not getting the difference. So when I hear people say, I just want friends and I haven't figured it out, all I hear is I want a woman and I haven't figured it out. You mean you haven't figured out that people get to consent on whether or not they want in your life? And you haven't figured out that maybe you're doing something that literally makes it difficult for people to get closer to you or form bonds with you? What are you saying? What are you saying? Okay? Think about it. Think about it, bro. Okay? Now, maybe this doesn't make sense to you. Maybe this doesn't, apply to your life. Then don't listen to it. Then don't listen to it, right? Okay. It says, oh, and if you're if you're going to the gym every day and you're not building muscle, get a new gym membership, right? If you're going to therapy and it's not actually working, you're doing therapy wrong. These things work if we engage with them at the right point. If they're not working, we're doing something wrong. That's the problem. That's the problem. Okay? And chat says, if the way Brittany is if the way Brittany isn't saying it's soft makes you feel extra sensitive, be aware of that. She's spitting facts though. Listen to me. When I'm nice and kind and slow with you, you don't like it. So I'm going to be a little firm today because you're still not getting it. I was kind and sensitive for so long with so many people and you're still not getting it. So let me be a little louder and a little bit more autistically blunt. You're fucking up because you keep trying to fit like puzzle pieces together that don't go together. If you're going to therapy and you're not getting better, something is wrong. If you're going to the gym and you're not building muscle, something is wrong. If you're, you know what I'm saying, girls? Like something is wrong. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means something you're doing is wrong. So your brain should say, okay, hold on, let me think. If everything I'm doing isn't working, it must be me. When I was moving to Europe, I was taking apart this desk and I was so tired and I was so exhausted. Moving it, I hate moving. And I was taking apart this desk and I was freaking out. I called my partner and I said, I don't know what's going on. I can't take apart this desk. And I swear to God, I've been working on it for so long and I'm so tired and I don't know what's going on. And my partner said, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And I said, I am doing that. And then I did it because I have dyspraxia and I struggle. And I was doing it. And then I realized I was so tired. I actually was doing righty tighty, not lefty loosey. My bad. It was me. It was me. I was trying to take apart this desk and it wasn't working. And it wasn't working because I was doing it wrong. And I'm just saying, sometimes we're so stressed. Sometimes we're so tired. We keep thinking we're doing it correctly and Habibi, you're not. You're still doing it wrong. You're not a bad person because you're tired. But you're wrong if you don't recognize you're doing it wrong. And that's all I'm saying. You got to recognize you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Do it correctly. The question is, how do I do my life correctly? That is a philosophical journey, my friends. That is where you live and learn. Okay? Chat says, girl, a few years ago when I first started watching you, I was definitely a little bit more sensitive. Thanks for teaching me to take the lesson, even if it feels a little rough sometimes. Hey, I have to do the same thing, you know? It's not like I liked hearing things either when I was younger, or I didn't like hearing things from my therapist. I also had to be like, I don't want to do that. And then you have to realize, oh, I got to do it. But when you're ready, if you're not ready, you're not ready. You know? If you're not ready, you're not ready. Chat says, if I keep getting the same result from the actions, maybe I should try some different actions. That's all I'm saying, girls. If it's not working, do something else. If it's not working, do something else. Okay, the comment goes on to say, hold on, where is this? I didn't even know why I didn't have any friends, no matter how hard I tried to make friends. I would argue you don't have friends because you're autistic. You probably don't have friends because you're rude. Most people I know who don't have friends, guys, you're rude. You're fucking rude. I have worked with so many autistic people. They're rude. The ones who are struggling the most are fucking rude. I refuse to engage in a belief that a very sweet, nice, compassionate person is having trouble in every community they've been in. Most of the people I work with, most of the men that struggle dating, y'all are impossible to deal with. You know how many men I've worked with and they're like, Brittany, I just want a girlfriend. I want a girlfriend. But they're also talking about being passport bros. What are you talking about? The autistic people, they're like, I don't understand why people don't like me. Well, maybe because every time you see them, you insult them. Well, I'm just speaking my truth. Yeah, but you don't need to insult everybody every time you see them. It's annoying. You're negative. You're a negative Nancy, bro. You're negative. When you come over, everybody knows you're going to poop on everything they love. Oh my God, look at this bagel I made. Too many seeds. Look at this dress I love. Too bright of a color. Hey, I really love this band. Ugh, I don't like them. Okay, listen. You're kind of a bitch. You're kind of a fucking bitch. Okay, and I'm so fucking sick of it, okay? Next, they said, I don't really know why I didn't have friends until, okay. And the community I had with my family went away as soon as I left Christianity. Of course it did, Habibi. You left Christianity. Congratulations. Feel liberated. Instead of feeling liberated, you left Christianity. What did you do? Not find a new community? Yeah, I get it. I left Catholicism. I didn't lose my community with my family, but I left my community to go find a new one. I joined gay communities. I joined queer communities. And I learned how to be a community member. I learned what kind of community member I wanted to be. I joined BDSM Dungeons. I'm saying, of course it's hard to leave one community, but that's why you got to find a new one. You have to find the new one. Everybody wants to take down patriarchy and capitalism, but you guys can't even get together for a brunch on the weekends. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. Chat says, and the community I had with my family went away as soon as I left Christianity. My family and the one friend I was able to make no longer wanted anything to do with me because I was a pagan now. And they think I worship the devil now. Make friends with pagans? Make friends with pagans? Oh, pagans don't have communities? You guys don't have camping trips or some shit? I don't believe that. I see pagans everywhere. Make a friend with a pagan, girl. We get it. But also, what? What are you talking about? Okay? Chad says, and you're 36 years old. So this isn't a 22-year-old who's struggling. P.S. If this was a 19-year-old, I'd be talking to them different. This is a 36-year-old. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Okay? You are not a child. You are a grown-up. Okay? You are not 19. If you were 19, I'd give you all the resources. But see how you're 36 and complaining like you're 19? Let's fucking go. Okay? And also take into consideration your family fucked you up. Your family sounds crazy, by the way. Your family sounds crazy. Your family's crazy. My parents, no matter how heathenistic I've been, we don't stop talking to each other. I'm sorry that your parents won't talk to you or be friends with you because you're no longer religious. Your family's crazy. Go to religious therapy about it because it sounds like you're fucking traumatized from the shit you grew up with. This is hard. But don't come for me because you're still not healed and I'm giving solutions as a healed person. I am giving you guys solutions as somebody who solved her main quest of healing. I have friends, I have a partner, I have a job, I have a relationship with self. I'm confident, I'm secure, I'm beautiful, I'm fabulous. And I'm telling you right now, I wasn't always this way. I was self-harming, degenerate. I was abusive to myself. I was in toxic relationships. I was absolutely a girly who was struggling. And I'm telling you as a girly who isn't anymore, it stopped and started with me. It was all about Brittany's relationship to self. It was all about my relationship with myself. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you keep blaming everybody else. It's about what you do now with the information you have. What are you going to do about the fact that your life was hard? What are you going to do about it? Okay. Next, it says, not everyone is the same and not everyone's situation is the same. And giving a prescription across the board mandate that if you don't have a community, it is your fault and you should try harder without recognizing that there are exceptions to that is both ableist and ignorant. What is up with fucking autistic people calling me ableist because you guys are pieces of shit? I'm so dead fucking serious. Don't even fucking call me ableist right now when you're the one complaining in a comment section where I, 1, never make prescriptions, and 2, don't even believe one size fits all, and 3, you literally outed yourself in my own comment. You outed yourself in your own comment. Girl, I would not want a person with this attitude in my community. Yet, you want to talk about being a community member? You sound like a bad one. You can't come to my community. I need you to be healed a little bit more than this to join my community. So if you join my Patreon, if you join my YouTube memberships and you're this unhealed, you can't. You shouldn't. Go join a different community. We are too healed in this community to have this attitude. This attitude is too fucking negative and way too unhealed. But you know who could help you? The right therapist, because obviously the one you're using isn't working. Okay? I do not like it. Chad says you caveat that you aren't literally making prescriptions constantly. Literally constantly, bro. I'm so exhausted constantly. I'm so exhausted. You know, of course everyone's situation is different. I would never make a prescription. I would never tell you. That's the whole concept around bubbles. The whole concept around bubbles is that we're not all living the same life. We all need different resources. But yes, if you're middle-aged and have not formed a community, you don't have any friendships and you're struggling in life, girl, let's fucking go. What is it? What are you suffering from? What isn't working? Maybe it's the therapist you're using. Maybe it's your lack of relationship with self. Maybe you're not admitting things to yourself. But something is going on. Something is happening. Don't you think that's a red flag? Holy shit, if I got to 36 and I was like, hey, I'm still really fucked up, I'd be a little fucking concerned because I got to 28 and I was like, man, something's really fucking wrong with me. I'm 28 years old and I can't fucking stop self-harming. What the fuck is wrong with me? I'm saying something is wrong with you and it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Okay? Chat said a lot of people mistake agency discussions with ableism. I have found it's a category error or it's an equivocation. Exactly. Exactly. And it also sounds really weird because I've been undiagnosed my whole life. And now that I am diagnosed, of course, I look back on my life and think, oh my God, all of the social mistakes I made, all of the things I did, the social scripts I misunderstood, and yet somehow I still had friends and family. And do you know what the one response is? The one feedback I get from my friends that I really appreciate? Brittany's there. Brittany listens. Brittany's good with boundaries. Brittany makes an effort. And that's what I want to hear when I take my little, how am I doing as a friend? Oh, by the way, have you ever thought to check in with your friends? Because I do. Hey, are we good? Is this good? Are you still happy with this dynamic? Are you still good with things? Are we good? Is there anything else I can do as a friend? Do we need a different, do you need, if any of my friends ever watch my stream and say, actually, now that Brittany's saying this, I have stuff to talk to her about, talk to me about it, girl, because I can't know. I think we're good right now. As far as I know, everything's a vibe right now. So if you're a friend listening to this and you're like upset with me, I don't know that. I think we're good. I think we're Gucci. I think as far as I know, I've gotten positive feedback from everybody in my life that I've checked in with. So if you are harboring negative feelings towards me and we are friends, you best DM me because I do not know that. I think we're good. So I am good right now. I am vibing with everybody in my life. As far as I know, everyone's happy because I do try to check in. So if I've missed somebody and you watch my stream somehow, DM me. Okay? But this is for my friends. If you are patrons of mine, do not DM me. We are not friends. That's the difference. We are not friends. Do not DM me. You are a paying customer. You are a paying patron. Do not DM me. We are not friends. Okay? So that's the difference. Is sometimes I do think what happens is people in communities. Okay, I'll give you an example. When I was a part of the BDSM dungeon, there was a thing that would occur, right? There was a thing that would occur where it was a big dungeon, guys, full of hundreds of people. And in a dungeon full of hundreds of people, there were pockets of friendships. And everybody knew each other, but there was always people who couldn't find their community in the community. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me bring up my paint. There was always somebody at the dungeon because, okay, the dungeon isn't your private friend space. So, okay, let's talk about physical communities that are similar to my Discord. So my Discord is meant to mimic, my YouTube community is meant to mimic going to a dungeon or joining a book club, right? So what are book clubs? They're not your personal friends, right? They're not your personal friends. They are strangers that have come together to form community that might turn into like a friendship, right? That's different. So at the dungeon, there would be like this big bubble of the dungeon. And let's say like 100 people were at the dungeon. And this friend group was over here. And this friend group was hanging out over here. And this friend group was over here. There was a space in the dungeon that had the food. This is where the snacks were. And there was always individual people who couldn't quite fit in a clique who would just hang around the food table. So there'd be like these people and these people. And actually, maybe this is like the dungeon floor. So all of us are like watching the dungeon and we're like engaging. And then the snack area here, there was always like individuals who you could tell were really struggling to be a part of a clique. And this is normal. We all click together in different ways. We all find each other in different ways, right? So because I run an adult community, obviously I've made friends through my Discord. Obviously, that's not a problem. Obviously, through my Discord, people have made friends. People have met each other outside my Discord. That's like a dungeon. That's like a coffee shop. You join the book club, but you become friends outside the book club. That's great, right? That's what I want. What I don't want you to think is that everybody who's at the book club is going to be your friend. What I don't want you to think is, oh, Brittany and I get along, we can be friends. You cannot force friendship. You can force you can circumstantially have friendship. So casual friendship is what I call it. Like work friendship. It's not intimate friendship. It's like work friendship. You know, it's not intimate friendship. It's not like, I would trust you to come to my house friendship. Do you know what I'm saying? Or I would introduce you to my family friendship. It's, you know, because again, I don't want my autistic literal thinkers to think, oh, well, I went to someone's house for a game night, so we must be close friends. No, you can go to someone's house for a game night and not be close friends. So I'm again, work with me here with the language, right? Is like, for some people, their sign of closeness looks different than other people's. So you have to learn this person individually and say, hey, what's a sign of closeness for you? Because for me, this is a sign of closeness in this context. But for other people, it's different. So just keep that in mind. Now, you would think to yourself that the people at the food table will talk to each other to build a clique. And they would try. But they weren't bonding. Because you can't force the friendship. They eventually, what happened is, somebody in this clique would go to these individuals and poach them and say, come into the clique. Or they would say, hey, come hang out with us. But like nobody would get much closer because they wanted them to be included. But often, more than not, either the people just weren't vibing with the dungeon, weren't actually vibing with anyone there, or they had a problem. And the problem was either they were rude, they were awkward, they were creepy, or that they were kind of stupid. Like, could not hold a conversation with you. And I don't mean autistically unable to speak. I mean, like, unable to engage in conversation, guys, which is like a very big deal. It's like when you're on a date with a guy who's like, what's your favorite body part on a man? It's like, are you stupid? Because I'm not going to sit here and have a conversation where like, I'm like, hey, how are you? What do you think about the current state of like the world? And you're like, what's your favorite body part on a man? Like, what are you on about, bro? It's like, yeah, I don't want to talk to somebody who's kind of dumb. Like, my friends are not stupid. My friends might do stupid things, but they are not stupid. I do not have stupid friends. I have friends who do stupid things. There is a difference. Okay, I am not stupid. I might do stupid things, but I am not stupid. Do you get what I'm saying? But I personally love an awkward person. I got no problem with people who are awkward. I have no problem if you are a woman of few words. I love it. I do not care if you are socially awkward. That is not what I'm talking about. I love a socially awkward friend. I think they're great. And I tend to make them feel comfortable because I'm like, hey, what's up? How are you? I'm open to doing the talking for you. I'm open to bringing you in. I'm open to translating for you. If you are socially awkward, girl, you're the best. I love you. Okay, you need to get over it a little bit, but I love you. Okay, but there's a difference between being socially awkward and being inept. Inept! There was an autistic man I worked with once. Jesus Christ, with the bane of my existence was this man. I struggle with work. I struggle with friends. Nobody likes me. I'm going to dungeons. I can't socialize. Nobody likes me. This same guy could not keep his eyes off my tits. And I'd be like, bro, you can't look at girls' tits like that. And he's like, I'm not. I'm just thinking. And I was like, I don't even know if he would look at tits because he was being perverted. I think he literally couldn't control himself from where he looked. And this is a part of ableism. I didn't want to be ableistic and say, you know, that your weird autistic struggle to look places was the problem, but you still can't land on people's boobs. Do you know what I mean? You still can't land on people's boobs. You have to understand that if you have a hard time keeping eye contact, your eye contact can't be landing on people's boobs. So like, I need you to look anywhere else. Look anywhere else. And they can't. They're like, I don't know what it is about me. Get out of here. You're fucked. Good luck. You're fucked. Hope your parents left you some money, bro. You're fucked. This is why I believe in public housing. You're fucked. This is why I believe in public housing. Because he shouldn't be homeless, but he shouldn't be you can't come. You can't hang out. You can't be a part of the group. You're fucked. You're 36 years old. This man was in his 30s with a master's degree. In his 30s with a master's degree. You're fucked. I am not punching down, bro. 36, or he was like 32, 33. I don't remember. He was in his 30s. He had a master's degree. So it's not like I'm punching down on some 19-year-old who has no resources, y'all. Chat says, didn't you make a How to Make Friends stream once? I don't know, probably. Do you know what I'm saying? I've worked with enough people in my life to know some of y'all are impossible. Some of you are fucking impossible. So if you are impossible, girl, good luck. Because so many people in this community are really fucking trying. People are really out here trying. And you are sitting here, you can't even get your eyes off someone's tits, bro. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Does anyone have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Did I say anything in a way that you're like, you know, not a lot of people are fighting against me right now in chat, so I can't tell. There's almost 300 people here. None of you are mad at me. What's going on? Was I just on it today? What's going on? Does nobody have any problems with what I said? Hello? Crap, thank you so much for being a member of 4 months. Says Chad, don't ever let a man get away with that. Even the most autistic, awkward learn that by high school at the latest. Girl, I'm telling you. No? Discord said I'm awkward, but it doesn't hurt my friends making personally. Wait, I think I'm misunderstanding this sentence, Discord. I started reading it, but I don't know if I get it. I'm awkward, but it doesn't hurt my friends. Oh, it doesn't hurt my friends making it personal a lot. Does your friend, are you saying your friends do make your awkwardness personal a lot, or they don't, and that's what helps? Chat said, I connect with the tone you're using today, so you nailed it. Oh, great. Chat said, you just cooked for an hour. Thank you. I'm sweating tits, bro. Chat said, I mean, you got heated, but it's not like you said anything wild. Oh, love that. Chat said, your ability to take pop culture and have it reflect some shit I have to deal with right now is always on point, girl. Okay, love that. Understanding social dynamics and rules and situations became one of my biggest special interests. Yes. Oh, yeah. You want to be, girls, you want to be an autistic special interest girly? Social dynamics. I love it. Guys, I'm literally serious when I look back and I'm like, I cringe at my past social antics. I'm like, oh my God, I misread that social cue so bad. Like, I look back at myself and I'm like, how did I fuck that up so bad? That's why I don't get mad when like things end. Because like, oh shit, I misread that. Fair. Like, you know, like you're either going to build with individuals. That's why I say friendship is individual, community is collective. Friendship is individual, community is collective. If you want friends, have individual relationships. If you want a community, that's different. The expectations of your behavior as a community. Okay, so going back to the BDSM groups. Okay, so at the BDSM dungeons, everybody played a role in things. So as an example, the food court here, people had to bring snacks. So as community members, it was a volunteer basis and people brought food and snacks that people could snack on. That is, and we would all write the ingredients on the snacks we brought in case anybody was allergic. That's community effort. That has nothing to do with friendship. Okay? Great community members might not have friends. Great community members, but maybe not making one-on-one connection. Okay? Okay. So this was cool. I liked this aspect of the community. So this was like a safe space where no play was happening and everybody was just relaxing and having casual conversation and eating snacks. And those snacks were provided by the community. Beautiful. Love that. Okay. Actually, let's do it like this. Okay. This part of the dungeon socialized differently. This was the dungeon floor. That means active scenes were happening in which you as a community member would not walk into the space unless you had a space that was your scene space. The space was a sacred space for us to watch, but not accidentally walk into. So a big part about being a good community member was knowing the rules of the dungeon. So the dungeons I belonged to would make you go to an orientation before you went to a dungeon party so you wouldn't accidentally make a mistake, right? That's a good community effort. Good community organizers knew the community would probably make some social mistakes and made sure to make them go to orientation first. So when they get to the dungeon, they would know what was going on, right? That's a pretty good community effort thing to do. So this space in the dungeon, this dungeon space was sacred. You don't pass it. These spaces here where you are cliques, you are sitting on couches, maybe doing some solo scenes in the back, but mostly you're watching the dungeon scene. So there's a structure to the community. So maybe you're one of these people. You could go sit on the couch with these people and be like, hey, can I sit with you? And then maybe you start talking about the scene that you're watching, which brings some conversation up. Oh, I really like the way he tied that. Oh, I really like the way she flew that, she did the flogging scene. That was really beautiful. Oh, do you like the flog? Yeah, I love to flog. Oh, shit. Maybe we should do a scene together, or maybe we should see your style, or hey, do you have any references in the community? Another part of the community that makes it safe is that we're allowed to ask for references. Hey, can I talk to some of your former play partners or somebody you're playing with now just to confirm that you're not a freak of nature? And the person goes, yeah, I would love that. Or if they're brand new, they say, actually, I'm really brand new. So honestly, like, I don't have any play partners to reference right now, but I can give you my social media. I could show you my Instagram. If you would like, I could just hang out at events with you guys for the next few weeks to get to know you, to see if you feel comfortable with me. But yeah, I'm kind of a solo play person and I don't have anything to give you, right? Like I don't have any references yet. It's like, talk to people, communicate, actually say what's on your mind versus if somebody said, hey, do you have any play references? No. Why are you asking me for that? That's so fucked up. Why would you even ask me that? Well, why are you in this space? Like, why are you being defensive? Now that's a red flag. You know what I mean? Chad said, I'm curious how people see awkward, shy people in the world. I will always try my best to keep up the conversation, but sometimes it's hard. I get self-conscious about that part of me. I don't know about you, but I personally see shy, awkward people, depending on their age and where they are in life, as either just a part of their personality or actually fucking annoying. And I'll tell you why. If it's just a part of your personality, but you're functional and reliable, I love you. If you allow your shyness and your awkwardness to hurt people in an emergency, fuck off. If there is an emergency happening and you can't fucking be there to be reliable on, you better understand that makes you a pretty bad community member. But if your shyness is a personality trait and you're actually very reliable, I'm here for it. I love you. You're perfect. Okay? If you are not reliable for the community because I'm just awkward, I'm just like that, well, then how am I going to rely on you? How am I going to help you? If we're having sex and I say, do you consent to this? And you're like, I don't know. And I say, I'm sorry, do you consent to this? See, now you're fucked up. Now I can't rely on you, and now we got to stop interacting. Now I can't fuck you. Now I can't be your friends with you because I don't know what you're consenting to. Hey, I'm making this dinner. I've made this full turkey. I've stuffed it with this thing here and here. Do you want to come over and eat? And then you're too shy to tell me you're a vegan. Just tell me you're a vegan, bro, and I'll figure it out. I'll order different food for you. How am I supposed to know you're vegan if I don't know you're vegan? If you're vegan, I'll just order some vegan food for you, or you can bring your own food. But I invited you over to dinner because I want you in my space. And if you can't eat the food, I'll figure it out. Do you know what I mean? It's a community effort, though. It's a symbiotic effort. You have to also engage with me. Oh, hey, Britt, I'd love to come over, but I'm actually vegan. Oh, shit, dude, I didn't know. My bad. Let me get you some vegan food. I know a great vegan restaurant around the corner. Give me an opportunity to be your friend. Give me an opportunity to be there for you. Give me an opportunity to be a good host. Give me the opportunity. And if you give people the opportunity and it doesn't work out, great. It wasn't meant to be. But give me the opportunity to feed you, Habibi, please. You know what pisses me off about my partner the most? Not literally. Actually, it's not my partner, it's Croatia. I'm a little confused about culture here where I'm like, I want to host you. I want to make food for you. Give me an opportunity. But they're always like, oh, I'd rather go out to eat. And I was like, your friends are crazy, bro. And I get it. His friends would rather go out to eat. We do. We go out to sushi. That's our bonding. It's great. Or other restaurants. We try different restaurants around Croatia. It's great. But goddamn, give me an opportunity to cook for you. But see, I can't because they would rather go out to eat. It's fine. We'll go out to eat. But sometimes I personally don't like friendships like that where we're always going out to eat. I would like a chance to eat with you. Because that's my love language. Let me feed you. And if I can't feed you, then that's fine. But it's always going to feel weird. Just as they don't consent to your cooking? Apparently not. It's like, I get it. Everyone's squeamish about people's cooking habits, cleanliness. I get it. Chess says, is there no barbecue culture in Croatia? I don't know, bro. There must be with family and friends. Like there must be with close family and friends. But I think so far, it doesn't like, I don't really see it happening in my building at least. Like I've seen one grill in the building and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of events, though there seems like there's some. I don't know what's typical. So again, it's not a big deal. But sometimes I feel like a bad host because I can't cook for people. Sometimes I feel bad about myself. But like, I think it's normal. You know? Like I think people would rather go out to eat, it feels. Or maybe it's just the bubble I'm in, of course, because I'm only meeting my partner's family and friends. So again, it's like, okay, I will learn that even though I can't cook for people in the way that I'm used to, and maybe I shouldn't in the first place, what's another way I can show up as a community member? You know? Chet said, what about beach picnics and barbecues? No. So the beaches here do not have fire pits. The beaches here do not do marshmallows. The beaches here do have food cantinas that people eat at. And everyone's squished on the beach together, which is cute. But nobody goes to the beach and barbecues. Like, I was like, can we go do s'mores at the beach? There are no s'mores at the beach. Because remember, environmental reasons. A lot of the things we do in America are not environmentally sound. Like meats are carcinogenic, what's that word? Like we put smoke into our food in a way that is like not very healthy. But fire pits are like bad for the environment. Yeah, fire pits are not good for the environment. but we do it. Fireplaces are not good for you if they're not made right. You know, I love a fire pit by the beach, but I think Croatia just has a higher standard, which is good. The beaches are clean. Everything's nice. Everything's great here. You know what I mean? Chet says, Discord said I'm shy and autistic, but apparently incredibly likable. So the scales balance it out. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is like, I'm not actually like mad about it. I'm being a little spicy today. I actually think what's amazing is it gives me an opportunity to show up in a better way. You know? Chet says, I think people see it as an imposition to ask you to cook in a casual setting. It would be better for you both to enjoy the food without you being obligated. Yeah, like when my sister came, she was like we cooked together and that was really nice. And I asked her when she came, I was like, do you want me to cook for you even though I'm doing plant-based, or do you want to cook for yourself? She goes, no, I'll just eat what you're eating. Or if I need something else, I'll buy it. But like, yeah, we should cook together because that's how we were raised. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how we were raised. I think for me, what I've noticed here is quality time really matters to people. So I'm happy to do that because, you know, I'm a quality time kind of girly, you know? But it's kind of like when you go to a party, bring something, you know? My friends or even my siblings, bro, they'll throw parties for their friends where it's like $300. If you're always the host, and I used to host, so I used to host all my friends' givings in Seattle. I used to host a lot of events, and I always appreciated it when people brought stuff because it was a lot of money. Like, I don't think people understand the best way to honor a host is to participate. And at the same time, as a West Asian person myself, we also love to pay the bill, and we also love to make you feel like you don't have to bring anything. But a part of community is when they say don't bring anything, you bring something. But I know as autistic people, you might think to yourself, okay, but tell me for real, do I bring something or not? But you should communicate that. Tell your friends, hey, I will not bring something if you tell me not to bring something. So I need you to tell me, should I bring something? And then I'll say, yes, bring crackers. Yes, go bring soda. Yes, bring beer. Do you get what I'm saying? It takes a relationship because all of us are moving off different social scripts. All of us were raised with different social scripts, and all of them are good and all of them are bad. Some of them don't mesh well together, right? But I will tell people, okay, can you bring something? If I know, especially if they don't, the problem is you also have to ask. Now, you might say to yourself, Brittany, I don't have any money, but I really want to go to this potluck. What do I do? That's okay. If you don't have any money, sometimes the best thing to do is to volunteer to help clean. Because people are feeding you. If you're going to a potluck and you have no money, that means someone's feeding you. And somebody else who might not have any much money either. Because remember, guys, it's not like I had a lot of money in my 20s. It's not like I had a lot of money. I was also using my last $10 bills to create a function. You know what I mean? We were all using our last $10 bills to create something together. So yeah, if you can stay and clean, that would be so helpful. If you could do dishes after, that would be great. If you could even show up on time, that'd be wonderful. If you could maybe bring a board game you already have at home, or maybe bring a video game you already have at home, or you know what I'm saying? It's about us coming together with the little we have to do our best. Because you don't always have to have a ton of money to build community, but you still have to be present. And being present can look like doing the dishes. Okay? Discord said when Britt said struggling to make friends or community is a sign your family failed you, bubble pop. Absolutely. Absolutely, I believe this. You said my mom is a hermit crab person reliant on alcohol, and my stepdad is community through gaming and sports, trying to find my thing. I'm 27, 100. 100, your parents, like, that's the dilemma. And even more than that, even though I do not think my family failed me in making community, what I failed myself in was believing community looked like an episode of Friends. So Brittany, autistic Brittany, watched TV shows and thought my friendships should look like How I Met Your Mother, should look like Friends. And when I realized my friendships wouldn't look like that, I had better, stronger friendships. Guys, I live in Croatia, countries away from my friends and family. The only person who is truly my best friend here is my partner. And yes, I have my in-laws, but they are not my friends. They are my in-laws and I love them, but they are not my peers. Okay? My partner's friends are not my friends. I don't want to be friends with them. They're not my friends. They're nice people, but we don't have anything in common and I don't want to force a friendship. So how does Brittany, who lives all that way away from her friends and family physically, still maintain a community? Saturdays, catching up with family and friends day. Okay? I text people. I send people memes. I check in. When someone tells me I went on a date, I check in with them a few days later. How did the date go? When someone tells me they applied for a job, I say, how'd the application go? When somebody tells me, hey, Britt, I'm doing this thing, just so you know, I go, great. And I check up on them a few days later. I also, when I see something that reminds me of somebody, I send it to them. Okay? when I notice something throughout my day that reminds me of somebody I love, I send it to them. Even if they're not inner circle and they're friends I'm just trying to maintain because I love them and I want them in my life, when I see something that reminds me of them, I hit them up. Even if I only talk to you every 6 months, know that I value you. And as an autistic, ADHD, possible person, you know time goes by very quickly. There are some people I would love to talk to twice a year and it would feel very fulfilling. And I hope that I can do that with them continuously because like that feels fulfilling. It doesn't have to look the way you've seen. It just needs to feel fulfilling. It needs to be fulfilling. It needs to be something that makes sense for your life. If you are a good person and you're making the effort, you're not a bad person because you don't have friends. But you might be doing, unknown to yourself, the wrong set of actions to bring about the right conclusion or solution to your problems. I am making a suggestion based off desired outcome. And I want the outcome of reliant, consistent, good people in my life. So I better start making good connections with good people, not because they're available and the best I could get, but because them as an individual, I feel a bond to that I would like to build on. And you know what pained me? You know what really I struggle with deeply that maybe you guys can relate to? Why, when I meet really amazing people, are they not the people I want to build a relationship with, even though I can see how valuable and wonderful they are? Why is it some people and not others? For the same reason that your high compatibility partner is that person and others aren't. You can't be friends with every amazing person on the planet, guys. That'd be like 4 billion friends. No one can maintain that. Instead, what you maintain is accepting that some people come into your life for different reasons. I don't know why. When I've met like 10 people over the last couple years, and some of those people are so fucking fantastic, but I know we're not meant to be closer. But then some of those people, I'm like, hey, would you like to pursue something closer? And by closer, I mean, do you want to talk on the phone twice a year? You know, it's the people. It's like, I know I can always tell when someone comes into my life and like, I can try to figure out what they're meant to do in my life. That's why I get like weirded out sometimes when people are like, oh my God, like I'm friends with Brittany, or like, oh, I'm close to Brittany. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Like, you know, those situations where people are like, you're my best friend, right? And it's like, well, I'm your best friend, but you're not my best friend. I want us to be on the same page. I want us to make sure we are in agreement for how we see each other. And that is what it is, right? Like sometimes with some relationships, like you can't stop being my brother, right? Like you're my brother no matter what. If you're one of my best friends in your inner circle, like you can't change that, but we don't have to be friends. Like we don't have to hang out. We don't have to be friends for you to still be my best friend or my brother. Does that kind of make sense? Because the intimacy is closeness. You don't have to be my, you played a role in my life that was significant, but that doesn't mean we have to hang out. And that's what's difficult for people to understand, because you're sitting here, you can't even get one friend, and I'm over here trying to juggle a billion. But then when I took my autism assessment, he said, but really, how many close friends do you have? Other than family, I have 3 very close friends, 2 of which I have a continuous healthy relationship with, and one of which is a little rockier, but hey, what are you going to do, men? Men, am I right? No, but seriously, I have incredibly strong bonds with my friends. We work very hard to make those relationships stay. And if somebody wants to stop working on that relationship, they can. They don't have to stay in my life. You never have to call me again. I love you unconditionally, but that means that the role you play in my life will always be significant, even if we never talk again. Versus other people, it was significant for a time, but like, you're no longer significant to me. Like my ex-partners are no longer significant to me, even though they were significant in my story. They're not significant anymore. But my inner circle, my siblings, my family and friends, they will be significant to me whether we talk again or not. Do we understand that? Do we understand how intimacy is independent and individual? It is so specific to the one-on-one. My siblings and I are a community, but we all have closer relationships with different siblings. I'm much closer to my gay siblings than my straight siblings, but I love my straight siblings. But that doesn't mean we're not in community, because the community exists as us as a whole, right? So I think sometimes you have to understand where you are in the community, how you play a role, and what that means in terms of intimacy. Now, my brother might say to you, Brittany really fucking betrayed me, bro. She's so fucked up. I can't believe she's asking me about some bitch I dated. Like, she's so fucked up. And I know for a fact that is not me. That's him. And I can say, bro, grow the fuck up. You did it bad. You need to be held accountable. Are you going to take a path to rehabilitation, basically? Right? Okay. And then he can decide if he's going to engage in that behavior or if he's just be like, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm never going to talk to you again. Okay, well then don't talk to me again. But you know I'm right. Chet says, I feel like she just wants to brag. Me? I mean, a little bit. I fucking have a good life and I want you to have that life. I want you to say to your former self that struggled, you did it, bitch. You are so happy now. Everything I do for 15-year-old Brittany. Everything I do to heal 19-year-old Brittany. Everything I do for 28-year-old Brittany. Everything I do for 45-year-old Brittany. Everything I do for 50-year-old Brittany. Everything I do for a part of myself so I can look back or look forward and know that I did the work. Okay? And I'm saying, I want you to look back and look at your younger self and be like, bro, we did it. I'm not boasting. I'm not trying to make you jealous. I'm trying to give you something to look forward to. I want you to look forward to your life because you can heal. Guys, the amount of bullshit information I see on TikTok, borderline girls never heal, autistic people always struggle. Y'all stop it. Everybody struggles, but you can heal. You can get better. Don't listen to these fucking internet losers who will never fucking heal themselves. And they're telling you you're going to be miserable for your whole life. You're not. You're not going to be miserable for your whole life. Unless you want to be miserable. At some point, we cannot ignore our responsibility in our own misery. At some point. That's what healing is. Healing is realizing that at some point we are responsible. Maybe we didn't cause the initial harm, but at some point we are responsible. And I am responsible to future Brittany and past Brittany to do right by her. I am the most responsible to myself. And I show up better for my community the more I heal. Because now I'm not the 2 a.m. call that calls all my friends. Now I'm their 2 a.m. call. Do you see the difference? Now my friends don't have Brittany, who was calling almost every day of the week, being like, what the fuck am I doing? My life's so horrible. I'm going to kill myself. Now they don't have that. Now I'm that for them. Now they can call me and be like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like, I know, girl, I've been there. We help each other. We want to see the best for each other. But if you want to stay toxic, if you want to stay fucked up, that's your journey. And I've had people say to me, this is my life. You can't judge it. This is what I want for my life. Okay. I don't want that for my life. So if you're going to stay miserable, you can do it somewhere else. Because misery loves company and I am not good at being miserable. Do you know what I'm saying? Misery loves company. So you can go hang out with other miserable people on the internet because I didn't go and be here. And this is why I say my Discord is a sacred space. I will block anybody who is there trying to make it miserable. No, you can't bring your misery to my space. Okay? Discord said, sometimes healing in a situation also means letting go and not healing around or with the friends and community you have negative memories of, but away from it all, 100%. 100% Discord. Sometimes the best way to heal is to walk away. That's what I did. I worked really hard to heal, and a lot of my healing came from taking a break from people. When my siblings call, especially the gay siblings, and let's say it's my little brother, and he's like, hey, I don't really want to talk to mom and dad right now. Don't. They're being bigots. Don't. He goes, well, why don't you talk to them? I only talk to them when I want. Do you see the difference? I don't do a weekly call with my mother because I would kill myself if I had to do that. And that's on her. By the way, my mother is responsible. My father is responsible for the fact that I want to kill myself once a week if I ever had to call them. If I ever had to call my parents once a week, I would have to die. Because they're so bigoted and so fucking MAGA brained that they cannot have a conversation without bringing up goddamn Trump. And I'm like, I'm going to scream at you. Just relax. So what I do is I have a conversation with them when I want to. Okay? I know my limits. Do you know yours? And yet I'm not ready to fully cut them off because I don't think that's my calling. I think I have a stronger calling. I think I have an opportunity here to do really great things to help heal my community, but I'm open with boundaries. So know your role. Sometimes I think when I was younger, this might help some of you. When I was like 19 and 20, I thought my job was to do what I'm doing now. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the emotional spoons. Sometimes I think we try to be the grown-up in the group. We try to be the healer in the group before we're healed. And then we wonder why we're breaking down. Until I could let go of my parents as my parents and see them as people, separate from being my parents, I couldn't do the work. See, when I talk to my parents on the phone, I don't imagine it's my parents. I kind of imagine it's strangers or like people I know in the neighborhood. Because if I talk to them as their daughter, they're never going to emotionally meet me where I need to be. But if I talk to them as like a person at church, like, hey, how are you? How are you today, Mr. and Mrs. Simon? How are you? And they're like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And I'm like, I'm good. How have things been? How's life? How's work? How's retirement? How is that? It's like different. And they go, oh my God, just, praying to God, giving sacrifice to Jesus. I just did a novena. Everything's kind of crazy right now, but Trump's really making America work for America. And I'd say, oh my God, yeah, I don't have much to say about that. You know where I stand on things. And then eventually they go like this. They go, why aren't you talking to me? And I go, what do you mean? And they go, why are you kind of being fake? I go, oh, I'm sorry. Is this a safe space for me to be real? And they go, as long as you're respectful. And I'm like, well, can I be respectful and talk bad about Trump? And like, you know what I mean? And then we go back and forth. So that's the thing. I am a grown-up and I want to be more of a grown-up every year. So when I'm dealing with other grown-ups, we're understanding the social game we're playing, right? And a lot of it is through smiles. You have to understand, we laugh a lot. We like laugh a lot. We're like, and I'm like, because we're a talking family, Chess says, what does respectful mean to them? Like not mentioning that he's a rapist. They really don't like when I do that. Like not mentioning that he's literally like, a fascist leader. Basically, they want me to say this. They want me to say, I've seen Trump and I really disagree with his policy. And I feel like a better policy would be something like this. And they go, actually, I think a good policy would be this. But I want to be like, why did you vote for a rapist? Make it make sense, please. And that's the conversation I want to have is, how did you vote for a rapist? And they'll say, I don't really think he raped anybody. And I'll say, okay, well, at what point are you going to believe that he's done anything they say? Well, I think the Democrats are just, going after Trump. You love Democrats. You love Bill Clinton. I hate Democrats, Mom and Dad. I don't even like the Democrats. Oh, but you voted for the Democrats. Okay, but I didn't vote for a rapist. See how the conversation goes? So then you have to steer the ship in a direction, And so the point is like, I know how the conversation goes. There's a script to it. The question is, they know it too. How are we going to change it? And I go, we've had this conversation 300 times. Would you like to go different? We've done this 1,000 times. Would you like to do different? And so Chad says you have to go with his softer targets of his bad behavior. Okay, so then I'll go, well, don't you think it's strange that Trump said grab him by the pussy? Isn't that crazy? And my dad will say, oh, men are gross. He'll say, oh, he's a gross man. I'm like, I know, he is a gross man. And my dad will be like, oh, he's so gross. But, at least he's making America great again. Well, what do you think that means? Would you grab a woman by the pussy? My dad would be like, don't say that to me. How dare you? I would never do that. And I'm like, well. And then you know what I'm saying? It gets a little bit like, well, what do you mean by that? And listen to me when I say, when it comes to liberals, I have the same energy for my liberal parents that I know. I have liberal parents in my life and they'll be like, Brittany, you're upsetting me right now. And I'm like, well, I don't know why you still vouch for Bill Clinton after he went after Monica Lewinsky like that. And they'll say, Monica Lewinsky was sleeping with her teachers in high school. I was like, oh, so a child was being raped by their teachers. And they'll say, no, she seduced them. I'm like, oh, so now we're blaming kids for their own rapes. And then I have the same conversations with liberal parents. And they go, Brittany, you are upsetting me right now. And I go, well, I'm upset too. And then we sit there and we look at each other and I go, I love you. And they go, I love you too. You are very upsetting. And I was like, well, I'm just trying to break some generational curses over here, guys. So let me tell you this, like, I literally have the same fucking discourse with liberals that I do with conservatives. You know, I'm just that girly. I'm just that girly. And yes, it's obnoxious, but somebody's got to do it because God knows I'm not going to sit in that living room while you have CNN on talking about Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton just came out and said, I really like Trump's little policy. I think you can suck a dick. Just kidding. That was kind of misogynistic because she's a woman. You can, you know, Benghazi, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. The point is that like, I really think we have to accept that everybody is an individual on a journey, and those individuals make up the community. And if we do not individually heal, we cannot show up for a community. Okay? That's it. Okay? Chat says they were upset, but you were not upsetting. Listen, you know, it just sucks when you see really good people back really bad people. So I just want you to know you can get better. I want you to know you can heal. I want you to know you're worth more. You are worthy of healing. You're allowed to feel good about your life. You're allowed to be a better person. You're allowed to think. I swear to God, sometimes I will meet the nicest fucking autistic people of my life and they'll be like, I'm such a bad person. I can't say please and thank you because I'm nonverbal. And I'm like, you're so fucking, get over yourselves. There are literal rapists in the White House who think they're good people and you think you're a bad person because you don't say please and thank you. Like, yeah, it's maybe not the greatest manners, but like, girl, come on, we can focus. Judge yourself correctly. Can I please ask one thing of you? And I try not to ask anything of you. Can you please start judging yourself correctly? Stop holding yourself accountable for things that are not meant, they're not that big of a deal, bro. Start holding yourself accountable for abandoning yourself, for neglecting yourself, for not investing in yourself. Stop holding yourself accountable because you fucking can only eat French fries all week because you have fucking AFib or something. You know what I mean? Can you please just, when you're mad at yourself, when you're talking badly to yourself, just stop and just say, am I really being as bad as I think I am? Or am I being too hard on myself? Okay, how do I be kinder to myself? Arfid, thank you. And then, thank you guys, thank you. Both Discord and chat. Arfid, thank you. And then the other thing is, when you're being too nice to yourself and making excuses for yourself, pause and say, ooh, am I being too good? Am I being too lenient on myself? Am I not being disciplined enough? Wait, maybe I should pull back. So in other words, hold yourself accountable before you start asking the world to hold itself accountable. You cannot ask people to do more than you can do. Not literally, don't be literal with the thinking, but in spirit. In spirit, I refuse to ask the world to do more healing than I can do myself. But at the same time, we all heal differently in different ways. Okay? What's ARFID? ARFID is like, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like inability to eat food from texture sensory overload. And like, it literally like, you can't, like, you're so sensitive that you actually, well, I guess we could just look up the definition. Fun. ARFID. Avoidant restrictive food intake is feeding and eating disorder in which individuals significantly limit the volume or variety of foods they consume, causing malnutrition, weight loss, and psychosocial problems. Like, I've never had that as an example. Like, I don't have that. Okay? I've never had that experience. I try to just eat whatever I want. Fuck you. I'll eat what I want. Okay? If all I can eat is fries this week, it's like what I want to eat. But also, like, if I had to, I'm not like fucking ungrateful. I'll eat whatever I can because I don't have that problem. I can actually eat food I don't want to eat because I know it's all I have. Okay? So if you guys get it, I feel you. But that's another thing. Actually, there was a, hold on. Let's close out this conversation with one more Instagram. This might actually take a second. So we're going to be here for a second. Because I think this plays into the community friendship conversation that people are struggling with deeply. Hold on, let me pull it up. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure it doesn't have a sound. Okay, so let me pull it up. Give me a second. Pulling it up. If you're just listening, you're not watching. I am quiet right now. Give me a second. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. This is what I'm going to leave you on. Is it trauma, a diagnosis, or are you just over labeling stuff? Let's talk about it. Okay. Let's talk about the idea of over labeling stuff because I think it's like really important. I don't know who this person is. I just saw this post. I'm not promoting this person. I'm not supporting them. I just saw this post and I thought, oh, we can have a good conversation off of this as a community from a progressive lens. Let's do it. This is Steve Magnus. I don't know who this is. They said, we are overusing the word trauma and it's making us less resilient. When everything is traumatic, our internal alarm systems get recalibrated to go off at the smallest trigger. We start treating everyday stress like catastrophe. And once you believe you're powerless against normal life, you act like you are. That's not resilience, it's learned helplessness. Okay, let's talk about that. Because I use trauma a lot. I say, that's your trauma, that's trauma. Okay, I fundamentally believe that life itself is a pretty traumatic experience that we downplay constantly, like giving birth. The audacity of claiming that birth isn't a traumatic experience only is true if you don't take into account all of the ways people feel after giving birth, all the medical problems, the stitches on your body, shitting yourself, the leading up to pregnancy and after. Yes, I don't think giving birth needs to mentally traumatize you, but to act like it's not traumatizing on your body, to act like there's not postpartum depression, to act like we're not, like, trauma to me is like if I hit the counter and I get a bruise, I can, like, there's trauma to my body, right? So I would say, like, we need to properly have a conversation about, like, what is a traumatic experience, in which way. It's not always mentally traumatizing, okay? But it is, you know, it can be a physically traumatizing experience. And a lot of people love giving birth, okay? My mom had 10 pregnancies and she loved every single one of them. I don't know. She built different because I could never, okay? So I think there's something here that I already don't like about the way they're using words. But I think there is something there in which, like, a weaponized language in this community, going back to the very beginning of the stream, if I have to kick you out of my community because you're attacking people in the community because you're mentally fucked up and you're negative and you're all these things, it's not ableist to kick you out. It's like creating a safe space for the community because you are so triggered by everything happening that you are lashing out and hurting people, right? And we are not therapists. Like, I do not want to run. I am not a therapist. This is not a mental health channel. This is a philosophy channel. We are asking the wrong people in our lives to do emotional labor for us. How can you say you're an introspective person, but then you want strangers on the internet to do emotional labor for you? You want your local communities, you're going to a D&D group. Like, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, but do we know the difference between asking for help and getting triggered and going off on people? Guys, throwing a tantrum and being triggered is not asking for help. Okay? So you're allowed to ask for help. You need to understand that you might be asking the wrong people for help. So sometimes I'll get DMs from people, hey, Brittany, I'm in a really bad position. Can you help me? No. Hey, Brittany, I really need some money. Can you help me? No. Hey, Britt, I'm living with my parents and they're abusive. Can you help me? No. Hey, Britt, I think I'm in an abusive relationship with my boyfriend. What do I do? Guys, I am not your friend, therapist, or community member. You need to contact your local police, somebody in your community, your women's shelters, your men's shelters. You cannot ask a stranger, I can't help you. No. One time I covered some transphobic parents and their kid, who's a minor, was being dealt with by the state. It was a political issue as well. And this minor came into my chat and said, hey, I could use some help. And I said, never trust an adult that's willing to help you. And at my age, in this context, you need to talk to the adults in your life. I cannot help you. Do not trust random YouTubers to help you. They could be using you for clicks and clout. If a minor comes into my audience, which is really rare, okay, and they're like, hey, you covered me in a story because you covered my parents. Can you help me? No. And they were like, oh my gosh, thank you. I was like, put down boundaries. Do not let random YouTubers, quote, help you when they're using your story for clickbait. Okay, be very careful. And so, okay, so next slide. It says, clinically, trauma refers to events that are extreme, that overwhelm your ability to cope, war, assault, disasters. But in the last few decades, the definition has stretched. Now it's a buzzword for anything unpleasant or stressful. I had a bad breakup, harsh feedback, canceled plans. We've loosened the word's anchor and it's drifting. Okay, I disagree with this premise, right? Chet said, Bray, can you order me a pizza on DoorDash? Oh, bro. Good example. No, but now I want pizza. Not helping. Not helping, chat. Now I really want girl, I've wanted pizza with cheese for so long. Good news, they've been bringing in more plant-based cheeses to my store, so I'm going to try to make another pizza. It's going to happen, girls. Okay. Now, this person sounds like more conservative centrist, where they don't like the idea that everyone's autistic now. Guys, this is the boomer mentality. Boomers go, that's just life. I don't know why you're traumatized about it. You're traumatized, you're just not admitting it. You are also traumatized. You are just not admitting it. I think we are suffering from a larger amount of trauma than we think we are because we keep downplaying it. We keep downplaying our trauma. And that's the problem. Now, I need you to do this. Not literally. I'm just saying it that way. I need you to consider, okay, is this my trauma? Deconstruct. Or is this something else? Is my trauma creating a cycle of always canceling on my friends, thus creating a cycle of abandonment in which my friends can't get closer to me? What's that about? Maybe I should go see a therapist. But is it because I've been traumatized in a different way that has nothing to do with my friends and I'm taking it out on my friends, but also I'm not allowing people into my life? What could that be? You should ask yourself when you look at your life, why is my life this way? Now, I learned my mental health is more unstable because I'm more activated around bigoted people. That doesn't mean it's my mental health that I'm upset at your bigotry. Guys, if you're in front of a bigoted person and they call you a slur, you're not sensitive because you're upset. Okay? If you're in a relationship with somebody and they are constantly, I'll give an example. The reason I really love my marriage, and the reason I talk about my marriage as what it is because I want people who are looking for that to know you can find it. Because that's the journey, right? You're trying to figure out, can I have this thing that people talk about that I haven't seen around me, or maybe I've seen it, but it's not exactly what I want? One of the ways my partner reinforces things that are really important to me that my other partners couldn't do, I'll give you examples that might sound really silly to you. So please, I'm being vulnerable. Don't make fun of me. I know you wouldn't. My partner does this thing where they're always reinforcing my ethnic background, the fact that I'm Assyrian, the fact that it was hard growing up AFAB. Like, they're always letting me know that they know how hard it must have been to be raised a girl. They're always letting me know, like, hey, I'm really sorry, because that really fucking sucks. Like, stuff you dealt with, I never had to deal with. I want you to know that fucking sucks. And I was like, thanks, bro. Dab. Like, thanks, bro. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, it really means something to hear it, to see a news story and to say, like, fuck, like, I'm really, like, that must have been really hard for you. And that feels so good to have somebody, you say it and mean it, like, to really mean it, versus somebody else who's like, man, you're so sensitive. You've never had anything bad happen in your life, which I've had plenty of people say to me. You've never had anything bad happen in your life. You're fucking spoiled. Girls are so fucking spoiled. It's like, damn. And when I'm with them and I say, man, growing up as a boy in this circumstance must have been so fucking hard. And in those moments, we get to validate people, like, each other in a safe space that says, like, I'm not talking to you YouTube chat. I'm not on stream. I mean, you as a person, I see in which ways growing up as a boy fucked you over. I am so sorry you suffered under the patriarchy that way. And my partner's like, dab, dab. Cool, cool. Thanks. It's like, look at my toxic masculinity making a joke over vulnerability. Oh! I still suffer from toxic masculinity, okay? But, like, that's the thing is, like, thanks, bro. I appreciate you. Like, okay, thank you. It's like, there's that feeling, but I can't do that on the internet when I've got a person, okay, who's like, I'm a man and you don't know how hard it is. You're a bitch and your life was so easy because you're a bitch. It's like, yeah, how am I supposed to fucking get real with you? Or you got an autistic person to autistic person where I talk to my autistic friends and we're like, fuck, it's so fucking hard, bro. And they're like, damn, it's so fucking hard. And then you get on the internet, everyone's like, my life is so hard. It's never going to be good and nothing's ever going to work for me. Well, fuck, I can't vibe with you now. There's no dab at the end of this interaction because you're just complaining. You're complaining. You're not actually, like, getting vulnerable. You're not actually saying, like, bro, I think I'm suffering, bro. I think I'm actually, like, I think I'm fucked up. It's like, oh, shit. Let's get you some help. You're not actually doing that. You're just like, that's not vulnerability. Complaining and trauma dumping is not vulnerability, guys. Okay? The best form of vulnerability is grounded vulnerability. Hey, I am going through something. Hey, honestly, I hear you, but I think I'm losing hope, bro. I get you. I've lost hope 1,000 times in my life. I think sometimes we overcompensate, like, and we don't properly categorize things. So not everything in my life is from trauma. Some of it is just a difference of opinion. Sometimes I'm just angry that people are so fucked up, you know? But sometimes it is trauma. So when my parents won't have a conversation about gay people, that's their trauma and their homophobia. Their bigotry is reinforcing that the trauma they experienced growing up or had interactions with around gay people isn't about gay people. It's about the people in their life who either interacted poorly with other people, took advantage of people, whatever. And their bigotry reinforces their trauma as the justification for their bigotry. And it's like a bad cycle. Your trauma can make you bigoted and reinforce your bigotry. The reason I beg you to heal is because I guarantee you are a worse person unhealed, because it is making you double down on bad activity, bad thoughts, bad feelings. I became a much kinder, more compassionate, less bigoted person, less prejudiced person as I healed. The more you heal, the more you can see people's pain. And the more you can also see people's bullshit. The more you can see people's bullshit. Okay? Next. Psychologist Nick Helsalam, I don't know who that is, calls this concept creep. It happens in 2 days. Vertical creep. Less severe events get included. Horizontal creep. New categories of harm get added. It's driven by rising cultural sensitivity to harm, a noble impulse with unintended consequences. I do think, especially on the internet, we're trying really hard not to let bullshit pass by, but we're forgetting in order to solve generational trauma, we have to be kind. So example, you'll say to me, if your parents trigger you that much, why do you talk to them? Because it is, because talking to my parents in an appropriate manner is less harmful than not talking to them. I am in more pain not talking to my parents at this moment than talking to them on occasion. Okay? And so you have to decide, are you going to cut people out of your life completely, which is so valid because sometimes you have to, or are you going to keep people in your life but open with boundaries? Okay? So I weigh the pros and cons. I was having an issue with somebody in my life one time. And it was chaos. Like every day was stressful. Every day was hard. And then this person was like, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And my life got so much better. The quality of my life improved so significantly. Sometimes you don't have to be the one to walk away. They'll do it for you. Doesn't mean I don't love this person. Doesn't mean I don't think about them and wish them well. But the quality of my life improved so significantly. It was astounding. I was surprised by it, honestly. Because at one point, having this person in my life improved the quality of my life so significantly. And now having them not in my life has improved my quality of life so significantly. That's hard. It can be hard for people to realize, like, damn. That's why I say if my sibling ever came to me and said, hey, Britt, I love you, but I think the quality of my life would go up if I didn't talk to you, I'd be like, I love you so deeply. If you think there's nothing I can do, there's nothing we can do as a unit to make this better, then I want you, and I would prefer for you to be joyful than to stay in my life when I'm not helping. And that's the difference. The difference is if you love it, let it go. And that's what I've learned. I've learned to accept that people I deeply love could be better without me, and I could be better without them. I've also learned that people I deeply love might still have a place in my life, even if sometimes we trigger each other, or even if sometimes it gets hard. And that's what I want for you guys to understand. Because if it's done with the right intentions and with compassion, then you will see what the person needs and you will accept it's not you. But if you refuse to see what this person needs, you will hurt them and you will hurt yourself. you know? Okay. Next slide. It says, here's the paradox. The more we broaden the category of harm, the more harm we'll find. I disagree with this narrative so deeply. I disagree because I think harm is harm and not harm is not harm. It is your job to discern what is harm and what isn't, but we are ignoring so many types of harm in the world because of exactly this narrative. That's why I don't like it, right? We're teaching our brain to scan for danger where there may be none, but that's trauma. Your brain should not be scanning for danger all the time unless you're traumatized. So if you're constantly scanning for danger, Habibi, that's the trauma. So I don't like this narrative that this person is trying to say, oh, everything isn't trauma, but then says if you're scanning for some stuff, that is literally trauma. Why would your brain be searching for danger? You know what I mean? Unless you're traumatized. Unless you're trying to say, you know, like my brother and I tend to sit with our back to the wall to see the front door at a restaurant because we live in America and gun violence happens, which by the way is a form of trauma, but also we're maybe looking out for the community. Yeah, we do that. We sit with our back so in case a shooter comes in, which by the way is the trauma of gun violence. Why would I need to go to a sushi restaurant and worry if a shooter was going to shoot up the sushi bar? Because I live in America. Well, I used to. I used to live in America. And I see it in myself here in Croatia. I'm constantly like, oh my God, gunshots, gunshots. And my partner's like, not gunshots. I'm like, oh yeah, not gunshots. Wow, I love you, chat. Everyone's like, I do that. Wait, I do that. I sit in the corner to view the door. I do that. Always have to have an escape route. Girl, I'm waiting for a fire to burn. I'm waiting for a gun to go. I know. Yeah, we have, America's fucked up, guys. We're fucked up. So remember that. We're really fucked up, you know? Chad says, and when you expect to be harmed, you interpret more things as harmful. I think that could be true, but that's why you have to work on it. That's what DBT taught me. DBT taught me, are you actually viewing what you think you're viewing? And don't let people fucking trick you. And being hurt and having your painful, like if my feelings get hurt, I'll say like, oh, my feelings are hurt. I wonder why. I'll even say to my partner, ooh, that hurt my feelings. I got to figure out why I'm hurt. I'm like 5% hurt. 10% hurt. We're never more than 5 or 10. Like 10 is crazy. We're never, usually if my feelings are hurt, it's like 1 to 5%. I'm like, oh, that kind of hurt my feelings. Like, oh, it kind of hurts my feelings when like this happens. Is that okay? Can we talk about it? Because like maybe we can fix an action or maybe I can just accept it or maybe we can change things. And usually we problem solve really well together. So less harm over time. That's the thing. I'm okay being uncomfortable. I'm okay having conflict. What I don't want is yelling. Oh my God, girls, I'm finishing up Perfect Match. What are Ollie and AD doing yelling at each other? He lied to her. He lied to her. I thought AD and Ollie had this cute relationship. And now I'm seeing the episodes finally where I'm like, so he lies to her. Then they're yelling at each other and fighting in the middle of the night. And I'm like, oh, their whole cute love story just got ruined for me. I can't see them the same now. What are you yelling at each other for like that? No. I'm shocked. I'm shocked, bro. My partner and I, we do not yell at each other that way. Ain't no way you're going to talk to me like that and I'm going to talk to you like that. That's crazy. I don't mind being uncomfortable. What I mind is this idea, right, that we can't problem solve just because we're uncomfortable. Discord said, how is it different from being curious about somebody and keeping signals of bigotry in the back of your mind just in case you have to protect yourself? Or is this exactly my trauma speaking? Hold on, let me think. How is this different from being curious about someone and keeping signals of bigotry in the back of your mind just in case you'll have to protect yourself? Oh, okay. You mean the door thing. Okay. Well, first, okay, this is a good question. This is a good question. Okay, hold on. This is a good question. There is a difference between thinking every time you eat at a restaurant, a shooting will happen, and thinking in case the 1 in a billion chance happens, I want to be prepared. I believe to be prepared for the 1 in the billion, but I do not assume that every time I eat at a restaurant, it will get shot up. One is traumatized brain, one is prepared brain. Different. Okay? When you're thinking about bigotry, if you're trans, black and brown, gay, if you are a targeted minority in a global sense, you have the statistical reason to be concerned that when you're talking to someone, they might be bigoted. But if you think every single person you ever talk to ever might hate you, maybe that's trauma, because that doesn't sound reasonable. But also, maybe it's not. So an example of the trauma that keeps happening to me with other autistic people. So other autistic people are so used to everyone being an ableist that they think I'm being an ableist when I put down boundaries. That's your trauma. I am not being an ableist because I put down boundaries, right? Now, if somebody who's autistic comes into me, who's in my life, goes, hey, Britt, I saw a stream you did, and I actually think you might have been engaging with ableism. I'll go, oh, fuck, no way, really? What did I do? Right? I'll be like, oh, shit, what happened? And they'll say, you said this thing. I'm like, ah, damn, you're right. Okay, I'll think, ah, fuck, okay. Oh, like, I want to fight you on this, though, a little bit, because, like, I feel like, okay, fine. I'm defensive a little bit. I'm 1% defensive. Let me think about it. I think you're right, though. Oh, I'm annoyed, but let me think about it. You know, that's me being honest, that I'm fighting this, like, you know, like, oh, was I? But I trust certain people to say, hey, Britt, I saw this thing. I'm like, oh, damn, really? Or wait, are you sure? Well, hold on. Wait a second. You know, it's like, you know, I think sometimes commenters who don't know you like that or don't spend time with you or don't talk to you feel like you're an ableist. It's like, don't yell at me, bro. Because look, what's more ableist than assuming because you're autistic, you're too stupid to figure it out? God forbid, I assume you can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's more ableist. Assuming you can't figure it out or assuming, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'm just trying to meet you where you are. Okay? I'm just trying to meet you where you are, bro. I know I'm a very smart person. I also know I socially fuck up. I don't socially fuck up most of the time though, bros. That's the difference. I am not socially fucking up most of the time. I am socially fucking up some of the time. Okay? Yesterday I was in, no, not yesterday. Last week I was in the grocery store and I was so excited. I manifested it. I was like, I'm going to get vegan sliced meat here. I'm telling you, vegan cold cuts. It's going to happen. And then I saw vegan cold cuts for the first time at my store and I screamed. I went, and I went, baby! I went like that, baby! Late at night at a store with Croatians who are the quietest fucking people. And then they all went like this. It was two people. It was my partner. My partner went like this. And I was like, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. But I was so happy. I was like so stoked. But that was so socially inappropriate. It was disturbing. It frightened people. It was unnecessary. But just so you know, I was very happy. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, they clocked the American real quick, bro. I just know in that moment, they were like, fucking American. My bad. I was so stoked. And my partner was like, and I was like, I'm sorry. But I was so happy. Okay, so that's it. That's it. What I'm trying to say is like, knowing the difference is about the deconstruction. Hey, I'm acting this way. I wonder what it is. Okay, so back to this. It says, we're priming our brains for threats and telling it we aren't prepared to handle whatever comes. Awareness without calibration breeds fragility. I think this is like reductive a little bit, but I think some of it could be true, that you have to be able to discern in the moment how to act accordingly. So example, I learned through therapy when I was triggered because I used to think it was me. Like I used to think triggered Brittany was Brittany. And then when I found out triggered Brittany wasn't me, like that's not me grounded. I learned to say, hey, I'm triggered, or hey, I just caught myself, or hey, hold on. Ooh, I'm really upset. I'm like really activated. Maybe what I'm saying is true. Because guys, just because you're triggered doesn't mean what you're saying isn't true. You could be triggered and saying the correct things, but the way you're saying it, the way you hold yourself. Oh, I said what I said, but I didn't mean to say it that way. You know, that's a real phenomenon. Or you're another kind of triggered, because there's different ways to be triggered. You're the other kind of triggered where you're saying things you do not mean, like in a real way. Like you're saying fucking hurtful shit. You're just saying because you're trying to protect yourself, like a dog who bites the hand that feeds them, right? So when I went to therapy, I learned that when I find myself getting upset, I ask myself, okay, hold on, wait. Who are you? I'm Brittany. Where are you? My office. Okay, are you safe? Yes. Okay, then what's wrong? That's a good question. Why am I so activated? But I know who I am. I know where I am. So I'm sane of mind. and I'm in a safe space, why am I so upset? Why am I so fucking mad right now? Why am I so scared? Why am I so whatever, XYZ? And then you sit there and you start to really think about it. Okay, what is it in the environment? What happened to me? Oh shit, I slept 2 hours last night. Shit, I'm getting aggravated when I don't normally get aggravated. Man, I'm kind of hungry too. Oh shit, that person said something and it reminded me of the past and now I'm kind of angry. Man, I think my feelings are hurt. I think I'm sad. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's find out how we got here. What happened? What could we have done to prevent it? So you guys know one of the 3 things I always pay attention to is how much I've eaten, how much I've had to drink, and how much sleep I've had. I can always fuck up on one of them, but I can never fuck up on 2 of them. So my rule of thumb, I've maintained this since 2017 when I got diagnosed with BPD, and it has saved my life. And I tell you this, I've been married 2 years, with my partner 3 years, and if you ask them, they don't even know I have BPD. They're like, what BPD? They're like, I mostly feel like I'm dealing with your autism. So I don't even know. Maybe my diagnosis was wrong, or maybe the therapy really worked, right? So if I sleep, I have a bad night of sleep, then I got to make sure I drink my water and I got to make sure I eat my food. If I can't eat that day because I'm just not feeling like food, then I got to drink my water and I got to get my good sleep. Okay. If, I'm having a bad water day and it's too hard for me to drink water, I got to drink tea or coffee, but also like just eat enough food, maybe have some salad, maybe just sleep well. It's like, I never try to be perfect, but I always try to maintain. And then on a really good day, I've done all 3. On a good day, baby, I've eaten, I've had my water, and I've slept well, and I'm feeling like on top of the world. That's like a good day. Oh, look at me go. Look at me go. Look at me go. And we know we're all different off those things. That's why I say all these people who aren't doing the work, they're getting road rage, they're killing each other, they're killing their spouses, they're fucking being rude to their kids. They're like literally grumpy at work. Do the basics. Some of us are doing the basics, and it is changing our lives. Yeah, that's the holy trinity of real life. Yes, it is, girls. Chad says, Brittany, have you seen that couple of years ago? There was a meta study that showed trigger warnings might just not work, but could be counterproductive. I think it could be counterproductive to some people and helpful for others. I don't think one size fits all. In some ways, I really like trigger warnings, and in other ways, I don't like them. Sometimes they've been good and sometimes they've been bad. So I think it cancels each other out. I think for some people it's been great, like amazing. And I think it just depends. And I think that's the thing we have to radically accept as well. Just because it works for some people doesn't mean it's going to work for others, but doesn't mean you get rid of it. Okay? It doesn't mean you get rid of it. Okay, let's see. Next slide. This isn't about denying pain. It's about precision and language. If we call every setback trauma, we lose the ability to distinguish what requires deep healing, what requires us to take a step back and keep going. Empathy is important, so is accuracy. I believe in this. I think it's also been weaponized though, because I say the same things. I say all the time, guys, we got to be accurate with our language. We got to be clear. But I don't think one word means the same thing in every bubble. So the dilemma is that like I've heard conservatives say the same thing. Language means something. We have to be accurate with language. I've also heard progressives say the same thing. What bubble are you in? What does language mean in your bubble? And how do we get better? Remember that I am never coming at you from a conservative standpoint. So when I say things like you should dress your age, I'm not saying it because I'm a conservative. I'm saying it because I believe community members should show up for one another, and cleanliness is next to godliness. If you are a hoarder, you're not a bad person. You're having a mental health crisis. If you're autistic and neurodivergent ADHD and you can't find a way to floss and brush your teeth every day, that's a disability that could cause you death or cancer. Gum health is directly related to your mental fucking health and your ability to get cancer. There was a man I saw on YouTube, maybe you've seen him. He had a bad infection in his tooth, caused cancer of the jaw, and half his jaw is missing now. Do you want half your jaw to be missing now because you didn't floss? I'm just saying a lot of the harm in the world, a lot of the abuse in the world is preventable. A lot of us raise abusers because we're traumatized. That doesn't excuse the abuser's behavior. It means we should prevent it for future generations. We're never actually, everything we're doing as humanity is we are working on the future generation. We are trying to prevent future babies from unnecessarily suffering. Okay? That's all we're doing. Okay? Chat, what is this? You said, what do you think about the 4 agreements? What you just said reminded me of being impeccable with your word. What? I don't know what that is. The 4 agreements? Discord said the trigger warning conversation is so interesting to me because they aren't necessarily new. They have always had content warnings on shows. It would never, and would say viewer discretion is advised 100%. Law and Order, viewer discretion is advised. Like, absolutely, right? Let's see. Chet says, I find the trigger warning thing interesting because in the tablet gaming bubble, it became considered unsafe not to use them, even with increasing testimonies that they don't work for some people. Yeah, it's one of those things. We've always had them. Discord made a great point. We've always had viewer discretion advice. 18 plus, drugs, sex, alcohol, nudity. We've always had it. That's what ratings on movies are. That's what family critics are. Trigger warnings aren't different. It's just people think they're different because of the way people treat them. They're just like letting you know this might be disturbing to you. But I also found that it could be a spoiler. Trigger warning, rape scene. Well, damn, I would have been much more shocked by that rape scene if you didn't tell me, which would have made the experience better or worse because like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. But at the same time, I'm okay with not being like, I'm okay with like being spoiled because it might be better in the long run. You know what I mean? Chat says oral health has now been linked to Alzheimer's, I think. I think I've heard that too. Chat says the 4 agreements are 1, be impeccable with your word. 2, don't take anything personally. And 3, don't make assumptions. And 4, always do your best. I think in the right state of mind, that's helpful. I think what I would tell people though, and this is what gets, okay, this is how it gets hard, is like, don't take anything personal is very helpful in many ways, because what I learned to heal from a lot of my trauma is like, it wasn't personal. It was just like a person meeting a person along a journey and you were the first one there, except when it was personal. And the question is, when is it actually ever personal? Almost never. But you know when it is personal? To the person acting out. And I've noticed that, like, don't take things personal, even if people make a jab at you. So you know how Hassan made a jab at Ethan and Hila the other day? They're taking it personally when I actually think it isn't. It is technically not personal because it is technically just an example of a real phenomenon. But they're taking it personal, which is why I agree with the sentiment. If they didn't take it personal, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But because they took it personal, now it's a big deal. And yeah, in some ways it is personal, but it's not personal. See, the dilemma is like, do we know what it means to take things personal? Do we know what that means? It means to assume that it's about me to hurt me. And it might be, right? Like, oh, you just made this personal. To me, okay, I'll give you an example of making things personal. Hold on. I think when you make things personal, you're being cruel. So when you take things personally, it should only be because people are being cruel about it, but that doesn't mean you have to be cruel back. So let me think of an example. It's like if you're arguing with a sibling and you're talking about the obesity epidemic and your sibling's fat and they're talking about statistics and your sibling goes, well, obesity is like a real problem in the United States and we should do something about it. And I'm like, aren't you fat? They're like, why would you bring that up? You're making it personal. Well, I'm not. Well, sure. But I'm also like stating a fact of like, is it because you're fat or is it because you're fat? Or like, what is it? Does your fatness have anything to do with it? I'm trying to get an understanding of where you're coming from, where you're talking shit on obese people, but like you are fat. So like, what are we talking about? And it's like, if they're being fat phobic, is that internalized? It's like, you can make it personal in a way that goes, well, you're fat, so what the fuck do you know? That's like, hey, you're being fucked up. Or like, why'd you mention that? Or you're degrading them. That's probably a bad example, but do you get what I mean? It's like, there's a difference between making a statement of like, well, you're fat and, well, you're fat. Yeah, Chad said Destiny dropping your HPV. He made it personal. See, Destiny thought when I criticized him for cheating and being a bad parent that I was making it personal. But I was criticizing him the way I would Elon Musk. Nobody says I'm bad for that. And somebody said, yeah, but he's your friend. He's not my friend like that. And even if he was my friend, that's not me making it personal because he's not my friend. He's a content creator at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I would rather end this friendship because it's not a real friendship. It's not like a close friendship. This is a working relationship. So my criticism of him for being an abusive partner, for cheating and being a bad dad, isn't personal. So he made it personal by saying Brittany has herpes. Right? But like, what did my herpes have to do with anything I'm saying? Is my herpes moral? Did my herpes what does my STI have to do with anything? It doesn't have to do with anything. Now, if I had done something bad, like Brittany spread STIs, unconsensually, well, then you can bring it up. But I didn't do that. I just have it. But see, so that's making it personal. But he thought I was making it personal. That's why he burned the bridge with me initially. Because I was like, yeah, don't take dating advice from a cheater. He's like, whoa, why are you talking about my personal life? And I'm like, what? It's not your personal life if it's content now. Your parenting isn't personal life if you put your kid on the internet, and your parenting is what you use in arguments against red pillars about being a dad. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Chet says the criticism also doesn't come from anger or hate. It's based on genuine concern. That too. That the statement you're making isn't like to hurt you. I'm not trying to hurt you, bro. I'm not trying to hurt you, but he tried to hurt me, right? He's trying to hurt me, but like, I can't be hurt by something that's just a fact. And I'm not ashamed of it. Do you know what I mean? Chet says, so to make it personal, it needs to be said in malice. Yeah, like when you make something personal, you're trying to hurt that person. So don't take it personal, meaning don't take it personal if it's not about you, but also you have the right to realize someone's being malicious towards you. So not taking it personally only makes sense if it's not actually personal towards you. But if they're trying to make it personal towards you, you're allowed to be hurt, or you're allowed to just like write them off. So Destiny tried to hurt me, and I just went, okay, rude. Joke's on you. I'm going to make a podcast about this and share with people how you can fall in love and still have sexually gratifying relationships when you have an STI, as long as you're safe and consenting. Joke's on you. I'm going to make this work for me, because everybody in my life already knows I have it. I'm very open with it. It's not a private thing. Like, I'm very open with it. But he tried to use it against me because he knew in some bubbles people are ashamed, and that for some people it would hurt them. So that shows more in his character. He just makes it clear every day that he is a horrible person. Because what good person weaponizes people's STIs against them? For what reason? Where's the moral dilemma in STIs? So don't come off cruel, right? And that's the issue, is like, there's no need for that, But I think sometimes when we're hurt, we say things we don't mean because we know we'll hurt people. We've all done that, right? Where somebody will say something and we'll be like, we'll like hurt them. And we'll be like, my bad, that was low hanging fruit. I'm sorry. And that's it. How quick are you to catch yourself and to apologize? And then as you get older, how fast are you at catching yourself in your own head so you don't say it out loud? Because the true testament of growth is catching yourself in your head before it leaves your mouth. I know I am not the adult in the room yet. I know I am still not where I want to be because I don't catch myself all the time. I don't catch myself all the time. And I go, oh, my bad. Not to say in the future I'll be perfect. Okay? Not to say in the future I'll be 100%. But to say that I'm going to make the effort to be less, let it slip out less, And that's the point. So yeah, Discord is saying this agreement thing is from the self-help bubble. So like, not my favorite bubble, but could be helpful. I just think life is an experience that is meant to be explored deeply. And the best way to experience life is deeply. Not shallowly, not egotistically, not because I'm the smartest person in the room, deeply, significantly, fully, satisfying, meaning. I want you to have a great relationship with your life. I just want you to love life, bros. But I want you to know that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. You are Frodo heading up the mountain, and you got to have a Sam with you because the golems be coming out left field. Okay? So our life is about, it's a relationship. You're having a relationship with life. Guys, it always comes down to relationship, doesn't it? Your relationship to self, your relationship to everything outside of yourself, your relationship to your values, your relationship to your job, your relationship to your country, your relationship. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you today. What do you think? Anything else? Anything on your minds? That's what I wanted to talk about today. I go hard because if I hear one person complain 20 times in a row, I'm going to get pissed. I have this rule with my family and friends. You can vent to me, but if you vent to me every day about the same thing and you do nothing about it, I don't want to hear it anymore. Because like you're not doing anything about it. My partner's done the same thing to me. My partner says, Britt, you've been complaining about the same thing for like 2 months. I think it's time to either do something about it or let it go. And I'm like, damn, you're right. I'm so pissed. I'm so mad about this thing. I'm so sad about this thing. But like, you're right. I'm not doing anything about it. Hold on. Let me lock in. Okay. Okay, you're right. I have been just like, well, look at it. So I do it too. We all do it. We all get stuck in the loop of this thing. And I'm just saying, get out the loop. Get out of the loop. And it's okay. You're not a bad person for looping. You're not a bad person for being mentally ill. You're not a bad person for existing. But you're probably unnecessarily not examining the self, and the consequence of that is, well, it is what it is. The whole world is a reflection of that. The whole world is a reflection of what we've put into it as a group project, and we're not doing good, girls. Okay, we're getting a D minus, definitely a D minus. Okay. Ooh, girl. Okay, yeah, Discord said, I concluded through the process of living like trial and error. Yeah, I think that's, I don't know what that's referencing actually, but I will just say like life should be trial and error. Just, you know, be kind and compassionate and thoughtful as much as you can. And if you're bitter and angry, that's okay. But do you know that that is probably because you're traumatized or you're an angry person? If you don't want to be bitter and angry, girls, we got to work on it, you know? Chet says, totally off topic. I subscribed for BoJack content and forgot the show was a decade old because it feels like society is still having the same conversations. Oh my God, isn't that true? How many episodes of BoJack did I say, wait, why is this so perfect for what we're talking about right now? Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God, the episode about the chickens, like chickens eating chickens. The episodes about men in media and never being held accountable, even if they're outed. Oh my God, bro. It really is that cycle, huh? That's what I'm saying. Don't be BoJack. Don't be Actually, I saw a great TikTok that said, who is a character in a TV show that is supposed to be the good guy, but you know is the bad guy? And don't say BoJack, and don't say Rick and Morty, and don't say the anti-heroes, because we know they're bad people who are good people who are bad people. Who are good people in shows that are actually bad people? Do you know what show my sister and I, okay, so my sister was visiting, and we started to watch this show that I had seen clips of. And I thought, oh, that show seems fun. It's Modern Family. So I'm like, oh, Modern Family TikToks are so fun. I'm watching Modern Family and I'm like, this man is so bad. Phil? Is that his name? Hold on. Is that his name? Modern Family Phil? Yeah. Oh my God. He is the worst. I hate him. Season 1, we couldn't even get through the season. He was literally, I couldn't get through it. He was pissing me off. He was gross. He was a gross man. People say he's like a good dad and he's a great character. Guys, halfway through season 1, bro, I couldn't do it. We couldn't finish it. He was so gross. I hated him. Oh my God. Oh my God, I couldn't handle it. You know, the whole show Seinfeld. I always say, you know, Seinfeld is a show about bad people. I love Seinfeld, but it is a show about bad people. Nobody is a good person in Seinfeld. That's kind of the joke, you know, but I think it goes over people's heads maybe because they kind of admire the characters, like they kind of admire him. And I'm just saying, like, they're bad people, bro. You know? Oh my God, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't want to be a Phil in the story, don't get trapped in thinking like, well, this is a good character. Always Sunny. Okay, obviously, it feels so obvious to me that Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a show about bad people. But I think people romanticize the anti-heroes. They romanticize being bad. I think that's what edgy boys on the internet get stuck in. That's Destiny. You know Destiny watches Always Sunny and thinks Dennis is cool. You just know that's true. You just know half these boys on the internet literally watch Rick and Morty and think Rick is cool. Or think BoJack is cool. Or House. Yes, House MD. House is obviously an anti-hero. He's a horrible person. Oh, but you know who in that show was supposed to be good but isn't? Is Wilson. Everybody in that show is bad, by the way. House, everybody on that show is bad. That's kind of the point. See, you know House is bad. But do you know everybody else is? That's why I can enjoy these shows, because I'm like, oh, you're such a piece of shit, bro. But that's kind of Dexter. Dexter's not a good person. Like that's the only person who was a good person, we know who. The man who was about to expose Dexter. Okay, we all know who the good person in Dexter was. Okay? But yeah, like these are not good people. And that's why it's kind of funny. Maybe like, but that's why I say, like, man, when I watch TV shows, I just see all the trauma and unhealedness of everybody. Yeah, Breaking Bad, true. You know? Man. Anyways, watch out for who you want to be in the story, girls. You know? And just a reminder, I think I made it gendered today because I realized the autistic girlies and people in my audience, non-binary people and everybody, we're really good at noticing really bad, inept, socially shitty men on the internet who demand entitlement to people's spaces and friendships and women's bodies. But you didn't think to turn it around on you and realize, like, hey, are you doing the same thing, but you're packaged differently? I know it's not literally the same thing, but the moment you feel entitled to people's friendship or spaces or my Discord, you are running into the same problem. You are not entitled to my space because you paid for it. Do not pay for my Discord so you can come and harass people. I will block you. You are not entitled to the space because you put a dollar bill in front of it, guys. I just think there's like an entitlement issue that we're not understanding. And if you were triggered and you realize like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed, I'm so embarrassed, that's okay. I'm a stranger. You don't have to tell me. You can go work it out in your life. But please do not message me 8 months later and say, Brittany, I've been working on it. Can I come back? No, you cannot come back to my workplace. It is said and done. Go find a different community. Go find the community where you can flourish and grow. Go find the community where you will be the best you. Okay? All right. I'll see you again tomorrow. Please have a good day. Please treat yourselves well. And remember, human's gonna human. You and me both, girl. Human's gonna human. All right. Samantha Juggernaut, links in the description. See you tomorrow.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
Why don't you want to talk to me? What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see. No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.